or 5. That's not for you. Fine, but this is okay. Give it to me. No. If you want, you can help with those decorate the screen.
Today, how are we all doing today? I just had to mute everybody because it was getting a bit rowdy. But just if you can hear me, if I'm audible, you can hear me loud and clear, just type in hello, type in yes, type in anything into the chat. Let me know that we are all together. Boluwatife, thank you very much. Fantastic, Modupe Adiola, brilliant. Loud and clear, fantastic. All right, you're all welcome to the session today, okay? Today's session is practical session and I would say reality check at the same time, okay? Because most of us, the target audience for this event are those that are currently doing their masters. You're either starting, you are midway, or you're about to wrap up your master's program. And then the reality hits. It's time to get a job. It's time for me to start to think of how I can remain in the country, okay? Especially for those in the UK. So we're going to have 2 hours of practical interactive session, okay? I'll show you the steps. We have our session today is broken into 4 different parts. I'll introduce myself. We'll do a little bit of teaching, a little bit of interaction, and then we'll come to the very end of the session for today, all right? Now, just so that we don't have a rowdy session, I'm going to mute everybody. And if you have questions, you want to say something, you can type a question into the chat. I'll pop into the chat from time to time. And you can also just use the raised hand icon when we get to the Q&A session, okay? We're not expecting too many people to join this session because, like I said, it's a targeted session for those who would like to make that transition, okay? So if you're planning to move to the UK, you are currently in the UK, you want to know how to move around, getting jobs, either before you finish your master's, which ideally is the most appropriate, step to take. And if you haven't started already, then it's good you're in this session today, okay? So I'll go ahead and share my screen. I'll do my introduction and then we'll continue with the rest of the session. So just give me a few seconds to share my slides and then we'll kick off with our session for today. If you are ready to go, excited to be here, type in ready into the chat. So let me know that we are all good to go. Fantastic, brilliant. Obina is ready, Stephen, Sylvester, Fumi, absolutely amazing. All right, so let's get started with our session for today. Okay, so how to transition from your master's in the UK to a professional job. I'll talk about getting sponsored jobs that would, make that transition from your student visa, your tier 4 visa to a tier 2 visa. Now, while this is targeted to those in the UK, it also cuts across different other locations. So if, for example, you're doing your master's in Canada, in the US, in Australia, wherever you are, the strategy behind our session today can be applied in different other regions, okay? So let's just pay very close attention. Like I said, ask questions and we'll have an amazing session today. Now, first of all, before we dive into the main meat of what we have, I'll do a little bit of introduction about what we do at Tenalytics. So for us at Tenalytics is an educational technology company that focuses on helping Africans and people of the Black community to get into tech, okay? And we do this by lowering the entry barrier for you guys. And how do we do that? By providing exceptional quality tech-related training to prospective participants across different areas within the tech ecosystem, from data engineering to HR analytics, to data science, to data analytics, business analysis, and so on and so forth. I'll be diving into some of this as we move on during our session today. Okay, and one of the things we pride ourselves on is on the quality of the facilitators we bring to bear. okay, the professionals that will work with you, myself, the co-founder, and so many other experienced professionals that come from the biggest and the best organizations across the globe. Organizations like Microsoft, KPMG, Deloitte, Google, Coca-Cola, and so on and so forth, okay? And just a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Abdaiza Suleiman. For those of you who haven't met me yet, you would have seen my videos across Instagram for the past few days. And for those of you that have been in some of our sessions, you'd have gotten to meet me at some point. The founder of Tenalytics. I'm a data analytics expert. I've worked in business performance with one of the largest energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa, worked in professional services as a data analytics consultant. And then I've also worked as a management consultant. That was where I started in my career as a management consultant. And then I made the switch into data analytics along the line. And hope if we have time, I'll share my story with you as well. Okay, I have close to a decade experience in data analytics, management consulting. I've worked across 5 different sectors, from sports to financial services to educational technology, energy, and also automobile. Okay, like I said, if we have enough time, I'll still talk about a bit of my experience, how I made the transition, and I'm sure you find it a little bit exciting. I'm a trainer, I'm a teacher, I'm a thought leader. I enjoy sessions like this where I get to interact with people, we get to share ideas and share knowledge. And by doing that, I've been able to train well over 8,500 people across the span of my career. Okay. For us at Tenalytics, last year was a major year for us, because we started to see all the work we have been putting into helping people get into tech started to culminate in the year 2022. So we had over 300 people make that transition from the classroom to getting their first jobs in tech across different regions, not just in the UK, the US, in Canada, across Africa, the Middle East, and so on and so forth, okay? Please, if you have your videos on, you can please just turn it off for now so that we don't distract other people, okay? Thank you very much. Now, like I said, last year, a lot of impact, a lot of features, and we're featured across the different biggest publications across the globe. Business Day talked about how we've been able to help Africans across 4 continents to land tech jobs. We also had Nairametrics, who featured, a data analytics hackathon, the largest data hackathon across Africa. We held that last year, December 2022, featured over 2,000 participants across the globe. We had 5 winners from that event, and it was an absolutely phenomenal event. Okay, and based on the job and so the consulting services we also provide, Punch also featured us in their publication, talking about how Nigeria as a country also needs to start to make data-driven decisions. And of course, Business Day also highlighted the hackathon. I talked about 5 Africans win big in the hackathon. PR Fire, for those in the UK, you know PR Fire. PR Fire also featured us talking about how Tenalytics has, stayed committed to helping Africans land tech jobs across the globe. This year, 2023, one of the first things we did was we looked at the ecosystem, and we saw that based on so many studies and reports, just about 25% of tech roles available are held by women. So we decided as a company, as an organization, how can we start to play a part in changing the narrative? So we launched the Tenalytics Tech Scholarship for over 300 women. We did this in commemoration of the IWD, International Women's Day, and that was when we launched this. And we had over 300 ladies who took advantage of this scholarship to join one of our training programs. And it's been amazing. Of course, Tech Cabal also featured that. And last weekend, that was last Saturday and Sunday, we had the Tenalytics Alumni Hackathon, okay, which was a super, super amazing event. We had people that had gone through our training program. They came back, participated in a competition that involved one of the SDG goals, okay, solving solving one of the SDG goals across Africa. And we had 4 winners. Okay, absolutely phenomenal. At the end of the session today, you'll receive the slide. When you get the slide, please take time, read the articles, watch the videos, especially the hackathon. Watch the hackathon and see how amazing the panel of judges, the people that presented their presentations, the insights they were able to get from the data and so on and so forth. It was super, super amazing. Now, back to why we are here today. We have 114 on the call at the moment. And just to give a breakdown of our session, like I said, we'll spend the next 2 hours learning something. At the end of today's session, you take away something very important in your journey into transitioning from your master's to getting a full-time job, professional job, wherever you are. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to identify the in-demand skills. Okay, if you want to get a job easily and fast, you must look for the skills that are high in demand. And that's where you start to look at to explore opportunities within that space. Okay, once we've done that, I'll show you how to prepare for interviews, because over the course of my own career and mentoring so many people along the line, one of the things I've found is simple question like introduce yourself or tell me about yourself is a major issue. And you hear people ramble, they stumble, they really don't know what to say. My name is Adeza, I'm from Nigeria. I'm the first son in my family. I come from a family of, they say all sort of things. So, and you go say those things in interviews, and guess what? You don't get any feedback. Nobody reaches out to you at the end of the day. So how do you address that? I'll be talking to you about that as well. After that, we're going to move into how to position yourself with the right skills within the space of 3+ months to start to apply to jobs that'll get you your stay, that'll get you a tier 2 visa and so on and so forth. And then I'll come to, last but not the least, which is our upcoming programs and how you can tap into the opportunities that exist for you within Tenalytics, and also our internship program as well. Okay, so this is our session for today. One after the other, I'm going to walk you through all of this. When we get to number 2, I'll be doing a little bit of teaching, but I'd like to, speed it up a little bit so that we don't take too much time at the end of the day. Now, moving to the very first part, identifying in-demand skills. Now, the first question you need to ask yourself is, and I'm sure most of you would have realized at this point, if you are currently doing your master's, if you are currently doing your master's, or you just graduated, or you are about to graduate, or you just started your master's, type in yes into the chat. If you've done your master's, you're currently doing your master's, you're about to graduate, you just graduated, but you've gone through your master's, just type in yes into the chat. Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Now, one of the major things you'd have noticed or you'd have found out is, look, the university or a master's degree does not equip me with the skill to get a job in the real world. Okay, no matter what you've learned, especially if what you have gone to the university to learn involves the application of technical skills. You're not going to get that in the university. You would know all the theories, you would know how to write research papers, you're going to do a lot of coursework that involves writing of papers, and so on. But the technical skill required to make a headway in the real life business environment, to solve real world problems, you would not get that in the university. And no employer would want to hire somebody that only understands the theories, okay? Because theories is very far when you look at the real world in terms of solving problems, and your theoretical knowledge, they're miles apart to actually getting work done. Okay, so you need to first of all start to look at what skills are out there for me to start to learn. So let's take, for example, I've learned something that is not relevant, or I've really not gotten technical skill that can help me land a job at the end of the day. How can I look for the skills that are in demand within the UK? And you don't need to look too far to get those skills. You don't need to look too far. I always say this. The place you need to look at is where to look for the shortage list. Okay, so now the UK has a job shortage list. Okay, in this list, you have different areas that you have different jobs, different skills that are low in supply. All right. So if you have those skills, you become somebody who would, easily be snapped off the market. So that's where you need to look at. Okay. So if I want to land a tier 2 job, can I even get a sponsored job based on what I've learned so far? Can I transition to a tier 2 visa? Okay. There are different routes and different pathways to staying back in the country. But the question is, one of the easiest or one of the most straightforward path is through the tier 2 visa. So how can I transition from tier 4 to tier 2 visa? Now, the tier 2 visa on its own is based on a points system. Okay, it's based on a point system whereby if you get a job that is on the shortage list, you're going to get a particular set of points, about 30 points. If the employer also has the certificate or the license to sponsor you, you also get points for that. And then you get another point for proof of English or proof of language, which can come through your master's. So that's the first question you need to ask yourself. Do I have a skill that can sell me in the job market where I fit into one of these roles that falls within the shortage list? And how can you tell? You need to go to the shortage list to find out and see if your skills fall within any of that. And if it doesn't, it's a good time to start picking up those skills. So that's the first thing you need to do. Okay, and that's why I say it's a shift from what you've been doing, focusing on so many other things, focusing on paying your bills, focusing on submitting coursework, your dissertation, and so on. You now need to focus on the reality, which is now I'm done. I need to apply to jobs. I need to land a job at the end of the day. Okay. So what you need to do is go to this list. And like I said, I'm going to share the slides to you. You have the opportunity to go through this yourself. I've kept all the links as well. You can access the links and go in there. Now, for you to transition to a tier 2 visa, for example, you must have at least 70 points, like I said. That's the minimum. If you get above that, fantastic. All right. Now, how do you meet the 70 points? If you look at what I have at the right-hand side, you have the points, and then you have the different characteristics that fall into those points at the end of the day. If you have an offer from a company that has a license to sponsor, you get some points. Okay. Also, if the role you have applied to and you've gotten an offer, the role falls within one of the jobs within the shortage list, you also get points for that. Automatically, if you're able to answer these 2 questions, you're going to get 60 points. And then the additional 10 points to meet the minimum of 70 can come from English. This gives you 10, and at the end of the day, you get 70. So now let's quickly just do a 5 minutes deep dive into the different characteristics, how you can eventually see if you fall within that line, and so on and so forth. So the link is there, like I said. All you need to do is click on the link to access the link, and you can all interact with the site yourself. And I'll be going and you see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just gonna, yeah. So if you can see my screen, you'd see where the link, you'd see the website, okay? The link is embedded on the slide, so you'd all get the slide. As long as you've attended this session and you stay till the end, you get it, okay? So all you need to do is go to this site, read about what it entails in regards to the point system. And like I said, all you need to look out for here, based on your current situation as a master's student. My offer, is it from an approved sponsor? the company that's giving me an offer, can they sponsor my visa? If the answer is yes, you get 20 points automatically. Okay. If the job falls within the appropriate skill level, so which means it's a skilled job. So let's take, for example, a business analyst role, for example. That's a skilled job. You get another 20 points. So that's 40 points already. Okay. If you speak English at the required level, and for anybody who currently has gone through a master's program, or you are currently doing your master's, you would have satisfied that requirement of English language. So you also get the 10 points. So you have 50 points already. All right. Now, your 50 points plus, if the job falls within the shortage occupation as designated by the Migration Advisory Committee, you also get 20 points. If you add the 20 to the 50, you already have that 70 points. Okay. Now, why am I mentioning this? It's very important that you take note of this. This class is for those who would like to transition into, so it's not just for those doing their masters, but I'm mentioning this for, I'm mentioning master students specifically because I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of waiting until the very end of their masters before they even start doing anything. And that's a big, big mistake. So the earlier you start, the best for you. All right. So it's useful to anybody who is in the UK, you are independent, you want to transition. These are some of the things you need to look at. So now you looked at the fact that, okay, if I get job from a sponsor, I get 20 points. If it's a skill job, meaning that it meets the required level, a skill job like a business analyst role, for example, you get another 20 points. English, which is by default, you're going to satisfy that as long as you have your MSc, you satisfy the 10 points. And then the job also falls within the shortage occupation list. That's an additional 20. So you have your 70 points and you can start to apply for a tier 2 visa. Okay. Now, let's get back into the slide. And I'll come back to this along the line again, okay? Now, to determine if the job you have or the job you want to apply to is in high demand, what you need to look at is the list itself. We've looked at the points that guarantees you the tier 2 visa, 70 points, and then you're good to go, right? But looking at the shortage occupation list itself to see the different skills that falls within that falls within the shortage occupation, because you could be applying to the wrong jobs, thinking that you can get sponsorship. And I want people to shift their mindset from the mentality of I can't get sponsorship except through a care visa and so on and so forth, or a health-related fields, a health-related visa, or a carer and so on and so forth. Not everybody would do care. Not everybody is cut out for care, okay? But when that circulates, that's the only information that circulates. That's what everybody starts to focus on. And I want us to, keep that aside for now. Are there other opportunities where I can get a job, a professional job, and I can see a growth trajectory at the end of the day? And absolutely there is, okay? So let's look at the shortage occupation list. And I'm going to focus on specific areas based on my own experience and based on my own knowledge, okay? So now when you go to the list itself, let's see if you can still see my screen. Sorry, I'm just going to stop this. Yeah, so when you go to the list itself, you'd see the codes, you'd see the job types, and then the annual salary, where in the UK you'd find those jobs and so on and so forth. I'll maximize this a bit so that you can see my screen a bit more clearly. I'm going to focus on two major roles, and I'll come back to this to explain the reason why I'm focusing on them. Now, if you look at health services and public health, it falls within the shortage occupation list, residential, day and domiciliary care. So this care, of course, falls within that. Chemical scientist in Scotland, biological scientist, physical scientist, and so on, civil engineers, mechanical engineers, Now, where I want to focus on are the codes 2135 and 2136. 2135 and 2136. And I would explain the reason why I'm focusing on these two major areas. Now, if I want to become an engineer, I can. All I would have to do is I'll do another bachelor's degree, register as a chemical engineer or as a mechanical engineer. But I can't do that at this point, okay? You've done your master's already. You can't go back to do another bachelor's. You can't go back to be an engineer and study to be a medical doctor or a nurse and all of that. What are the skills at this point in time that I can learn and I can gain within the space of a few months and I can use to apply to get these jobs? That's why we are focusing on 2135 and 2136. So, and these two areas, if you look at 2135, it says IT business analyst, architect, and system designers. Okay, all jobs. 2136 says programmers and software professionals, all jobs. All right. So tech-related roles, tech-related skills all fall within 2135 and 2136. So a business analyst, for example, an IT business analyst obviously falls within 2135. A data analyst, a data scientist, a data engineer, and so on and so forth falls within 2136. So looking at the job shortage list, clearly there are areas and avenues for tech talent. So if you have a tech skill, if you've been able to learn a particular tech skill and you can apply those skills, you can start to apply to these jobs. You look for companies that have sponsorship, and then you apply to jobs as a business analyst, you apply to jobs as a data analyst, you apply to jobs as a data engineer. And if you're able to land those jobs, you can get a tier 2 visa from that at the end of the day. Okay. Now, one of the reasons why we are also focusing on 2135 and 2136 is the ease of learning. I don't have to learn for years. I don't have to go get another degree. I can learn for the space of a few months and start to apply those skills and start to apply to jobs. It's absolutely, absolutely important that we get this at this point. I'll come back here to, would elaborate on this a little bit more once we've moved into the different areas within the tech ecosystem that you can learn, leverage, apply to jobs. So many people. At the beginning of the slide, I showed you over 300 people last year were able to transition. Over 300 were able to transition. So how can you also take advantage of the opportunity that exists to also make that switch? Not waiting until you are done with your master's, not waiting until you are a few months end of your master's before you start to apply to this. But if you are a few months, you've graduated, it's still a good place for you to start. The earlier you start, like I said, the best for you at the end of the day. Okay. So we take note of these codes: the IT business analyst and the programmer, software development professionals, 2136. Again, I have them in my slides, and the links are there for you to, go in there, interact with the website and see what it's all about and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, one of the things I also did was to keep the link for the employers that have sponsorship certificates. So once you click on this link, for example, it takes you to a list of employers, and I'm just going to click on it for you to see. All right. It takes you to a link of employers that can sponsor you. It takes you, somebody's trying to record. Don't worry, Adiola. Okay. The session is recorded and the recording will be made available to everyone. All right. Okay. Olasubo is even asking, how do I identify companies that have sponsorship? I'll show you how. Don't worry. Okay. So if you click on this link, for example, you have so many companies here, about 77,000 companies in the UK that offer sponsorship. They have the license to sponsor you. Okay. You can download the Excel file by clicking on this link at the top, and then it downloads into an download an Excel file into your computer, and then you can filter, you can check, you can do more searches, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the easiest way would be to, I'll say the difficult way would be to copy the company name and search if they have an opening, but that would be counterproductive. You'd spend too much of your time, going that route. How do you then find these companies? Know if they offer job opportunities and if those jobs are sponsored. Okay. Again, you have websites you can go into and start to search. Now, this might seem like the information is out there, it's available to everybody, but I'll tell you, it's very easy to get bogged down in your, working shifts, working to pay your bills, working to pay the balance of your school fees, and you forget the fact that, look, at the end of school, I need to also get something professional that I can see a career growth, a career trajectory. I've had to mentor people who were managers in the banks. They left their banking jobs, they left their businesses back home. They came to the UK, and it was a big struggle. There was this particular gentleman who he came to the UK with four of his children. So himself, 4 kids, and his wife, so 6, a family of 6. Now it was time for them to apply for the post-study work visa, and you know how expensive it is. And this is somebody who did not have a job, okay? But eventually, at the end of the day, he did not apply for the post-study work visa. He was able to get a job that sponsored him, and then he was able to sort that out. Now, how did he do it? How did we also help him do it? And that's why I say it's important that you start to do these things as early as possible, okay? Now, once you have the link, you look at the shortage occupation list, you look at companies that can sponsor. The next thing is, how do I apply to these jobs? Very simple. There are so many websites, and the website I have on my slide is not exhaustive, okay? The website is not exhaustive. There are so many other websites, all right? And I'll show you how you can leverage these websites. We'll go to a couple of them, and I'll just show you what, it looks, how you can search for these jobs and start to apply to them, all right? So you have UK Hired, you have UK Visa Jobs, gov.uk. Most of you will be familiar with gov.uk, LinkedIn. A lot of people are on LinkedIn, but you don't know how powerful LinkedIn is. 90% of the people that have gotten jobs who have gone through Tenalytics, they got their jobs through LinkedIn. And you are likely also going to get your job through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very important. And you'd start to see how important LinkedIn is by the time we move on to the other side of our slides at the end of the day. So I'm going to show you something very quickly, okay? Let's go to Indeed, and then we're going to go to gov.uk, and if we have more time, we'll quickly just browse through LinkedIn as well. You don't require IELTS, you don't require that. If you don't have masters, yes, you might. Okay, if you don't have your masters, you would require IELTS at the end of the day. Okay, but it's something you can pass. It's not too difficult. But if you have your masters, you would have satisfied that requirement of meeting the English language requirement. Okay, now let's do a very quick check. Let's go to LinkedIn. So now I know the jobs. I've seen the jobs on the employers that can sponsor my stay. I've also seen the roles on this shortage occupation list. Now I want to start to apply to jobs, right? I want to start to apply to jobs. And for us, the focus is on what? 2135 and 2136. The reason is simply because these are tech skills that can easily be learned by anybody. You don't need a degree, you don't need a background, you don't need experience, no requirements for you to learn these skills. All that is required is for you to have the determination to learn, okay, and find the right learning partner, that's all. And if you're able to do that, you can learn those skills and start to apply to jobs. So let's take the business analyst role, for example, business analyst, okay? Let's take the business analyst role. So I'm just going to quickly go on LinkedIn. All right, let's go on LinkedIn. Now, if you go to LinkedIn, one of the first things you want to do is to have an optimized LinkedIn profile. An optimized LinkedIn profile. So as a professional, there is no reason whatsoever. You are doing your master's and you plan to get a job at the end of your master's program, and you don't have an optimized LinkedIn profile. You are setting yourself up for failure. Okay. So nobody is chasing you. It's not your village people, it's yourself. You are the one doing yourself. So you must have an optimized LinkedIn profile to even get started. Okay, so you must have your label. If somebody clicks on your profile, they must see exactly what you do. All right. Now, if I click on my profile, or without even clicking on my profile, let me just maximize this a bit. If you can see it's a bit clearer, you'd see it says tech founder, data scientist, facilitator. So at a glance, people should know in 3 words who you are. So who are you in 3 words? You must be able to, somebody must be able to identify you in 3 words who you are. All right. So this is what mine says. Okay. Yours could be anything else and so on and so forth. But you must have an optimized LinkedIn profile. Although this is not the session for that, I'm just mentioning it so that you know how important that is. Once you've optimized your LinkedIn profile, you've captured all your job responsibilities based on your current job search. So you want to get a job as a business analyst. You can't have your LinkedIn profile saying something else, bank operations manager, but you are looking for a business analyst role. You'll never get that job because organizations today would want to match what you have on your CV, what the current role requires, and what your LinkedIn profile also states. If there is no alignment, you are likely not going to get called for that particular job at the end of the day. Okay, so you want to cover those areas. Once you've done that, go on LinkedIn, click on the icon that says jobs. You're likely going to see that at the top. It says what? Jobs. Click on jobs and just do a search. Okay, so let's say I want to search for visa sponsorship. Visa sponsorship for business analysts. Okay, or you can just type visa sponsorship. So that's a broader, job. That's a broader keyword. We want to narrow it down to just business analyst roles. Okay, so I typed in sponsorship, visa sponsorship, business analyst. Okay, now city, states, or zip code. I'm going to use United Kingdom. And then I click on that and I search. And immediately you start to see different job roles that are available. Okay. One thing I want to quickly mention is when you see, like if I click on this particular one, it was posted 1 day ago, which means yesterday. It says business analyst, right? Compensation is what? Between 30,000 to 40,000 per year. People would see the number of applicants and they get scared that should I still apply to this role? 50 people have applied, 100 people have applied. Don't be scared, okay? Or don't be bothered about that. Most of the time, what LinkedIn does is, if I click on apply and eventually I don't go ahead and apply, LinkedIn would count me as one of the people that have applied to that role. So sometimes the number of applicants you see here might not necessarily match the exact number of people that have gone through to submit their application. So go ahead and apply, all right? You can also read through the description to see what the key responsibilities are, okay? What are the skills required? What would you be doing when you get this role? Process and data mapping across all the business areas, analyzing data sets. So you're going to do that as well. You're going to do what, let's look at if they have the specific required requirements. Okay, so they don't have the specific skill requirements in there, but you look at this and it's one of the roles you can apply to. You go ahead and apply. And that's why I said LinkedIn, 90% of you currently on the call would likely also get your job from LinkedIn. So having a good LinkedIn profile I can't overemphasize the importance of doing that, okay? Let's look for another one. Let's check This is in Manchester, business analyst with Power BI. Okay. So you see the role as well. This was posted 1 week ago, 25 applicants. You can also look through what is required. Okay. Agile methodologies. You're going to lead workshops and interviews, focus groups, and so on and so forth. You learn how to use Jira and Confluence. You need to know how to use business analysis tools. You need to know how to create user stories, acceptance criteria, story mapping, data mapping, all of these things. These are some of the skills. Now, why it is good for you to always come here is simply because you must have a connector. There must be something that brings your CV together with your what? Your LinkedIn profile. Your CV together with your application. Okay. So all the keywords you find in this job application, you go back and tailor your CV to match those keywords. All right. Now, one of the mistakes people also make is one CV shoots to 100 jobs. So you have one CV, you're using that to apply to 100 jobs. You're never going to get the job because organizations receive super high number of applications and they can't go through each CV individually. So they want to first layer, they want to weed out as many CVs as possible. So if the CVs that don't have the keywords they have in the job description or the job requirements, they weed those CVs out immediately right from the get-go. So you want to ensure, and that's called ATS. It's called the ATS system. It's an applicant tracking system. So it weeds out CVs that don't fall into or that don't have the right keywords that matches the job requirement. So you have to ensure that aspect is also covered. So for example, you're trying to tailor your CV. You're trying to look at the job says they want somebody who knows agile methodology, for example, and you don't have anything agile or waterfall and things like that on your CV. So you go back, tailor your CV to include the keywords that you have in this job requirements or this job description. So this is one of the easiest way. And one other thing I want to point out, and if you have a note and you're taking notes, please take this down, okay? Because you want to get a business analyst role, because you've learned business analysis, does not mean that the only job you can apply to is a business analyst job. No. There are so many roles that falls within the same realm of business analysis. A change management analyst. Sometimes you see business analysts learning some additional skills to also work as data analysts. You'd see business analysts handling roles like process analysts or process optimization analysts. So there are so many other roles that falls within that realm of business analysis. So your focus would not only be on a specific role. So systems analyst, for example, is also a business analyst role. So always go into the roles to read the job description. Don't ignore to say this is not a business analyst role, it's a systems analyst, and then you ignore, you move to the next one. No, read the job description and see what is required from the system analyst. Are these skills that I have that I can apply to getting this job? Okay, that's absolutely important. Now, this is for LinkedIn. I want to quickly show you gov.uk. Okay, gov.uk. Gov.uk is very fantastic. Of course, it's the government's website that also houses different jobs across the UK. Okay, now gov.uk, you'd find so many jobs, both sponsored and unsponsored. All right. So once you go to gov.uk, click on find a job. Okay, and just click on start now. Click on find a job, click on start now. It takes you into the website and just do a search. Do a search for, let's say, data analyst this time around, or business analysts. Let's stick to business analysts, okay? Business analysts. And then I just search. Of course, it's gov.uk, so it's only roles within the UK, right? Now, what you can also do is to filter. You can filter using all of these, filters at the left-hand side to tailor your search to more specific roles. Now, one thing I want to quickly talk about as well. Some people focus on getting visa-sponsored jobs, and then they forget the fact that, yes, I might get it, I might not get it. So for every situation, it's a 50-50 chance. You could get the job, or you might not get the job. One thing that is guaranteed is that once you search or you try to apply to get one of the jobs within the shortage list, you are definitely going to get that job. Because the gap between what the market needs and what the universities and immigrants can supply to fit those roles are clearly not enough. So you have too many roles that are vacant. You have too many roles that are left unfilled. And the number of people with the skills to fill those roles are far lesser than the available opportunities, all right? So one thing I would also advise that you can do is simple. Search for business analysts. Forget about, let's even leave sponsorship for now. Just search for the role itself. And I want you to go to contracts. Okay, you go down, contract type, all right? Click on contracts. And I want to show you something. And this is where you see a lot of people getting jobs, they're cashing out, and you wonder how they are doing it, okay? Oh, this guy really he just learned to program. How is he getting the jobs he's getting within the space of a few months? Now, let me show you. Let's look at this job, for example. It says business analyst, right? Hayes Specialist Recruitment, they are the ones recruiting for this role. Now, I want you to focus on the amount or the pay. The pay says what? 450 to 500 pounds per day. 450 to 500 pounds per day. Okay. Now, for some people, it would seem outrageous. Is this even possible? But I'll tell you for a fact that this is even low. 450 to 500 is actually normal. It's a reduced amount that you can make as a business analyst, for example, per day, every single day. Now, let's scroll down and see. So this is another business. This was posted on the 28th of April. So let's look for something more recent. This is more recent. Okay, 15th of May. Let's click on the role to check. So I click on business analyst and I go through the role. Of course, it's a contract job, but you get the job and you are paid 450 to 500 per day. And let's look at the job requirements. What do you need to get this job as a business analyst? Let's check. The candidate has to be engaging, collaborative, and a self-starter. High level of proficiency in Microsoft Excel, great time management, high level of Microsoft Excel, business analysis modeling, Visio, UML, Microsoft Office, Teams, and so on and so forth, okay? Now, a lot of people, and I needed to show you this because a lot of people feel that for me to make 450 to 600 pounds per day, I must know everything in this world, but that's not the reality. Now, because you have so many of these roles available, and a business analyst role, for example, or a data analyst role, or any role in tech, remember the codes I highlighted, 2135 and 2136. Any role that falls within that category, tech-related skills, are in super high demand. So you're likely going to get jobs very fast, easily, that falls within those codes, okay? And for some people, and this is a strategy that some people have taken. Now, I've completed my master's. I've applied to sponsored jobs. I have not gotten it. My visa my Tier 4 visa is about to expire. They apply to contract jobs and get contract jobs. Now, imagine earning, let's say 500 pounds per day. You work for 5 days in a week, that's 2,500 pounds per week. In a month, that's 10,000 pounds in a month. Now, what they do is this, and I've worked with so many people that have gone this route. Okay, I've done it myself. I've done a lot of contracts, years ago. And let me explain what happens at the end of the day. You get these contract jobs, okay? You work these contract jobs for 1 year, 2 years. You pay for your post-study because that's just a fraction of the amount you are earning. And while you are doing this, you have your post-study work visa. You can then start to apply to get a sponsored visa or a job that would sponsor to get your tier 2 at the end of the day. Okay, so that's another strategy. All right, so one strategy is going head on, getting the sponsored job immediately. The other strategy or the other route is what? Get a job, a contract job that will pay you this much. As you're earning the money, you then start to look for sponsored jobs, a job that will sponsor you. Because of course, a contract job is not likely going to sponsor you. You're not going to find that sponsorship from a contract job, but you earn a lot of money. So imagine earning £10,000. Of course, you pay tax. So let's say after tax, you have about £7,000. Okay, you earn that for a year. Earn that for 2 years. And within the space of that, you're also applying to get a sponsored job. So many people have transitioned through that route. And knowing exactly what you want to do and having a plan and having this strategy is what eventually gets you ahead of somebody who is just trying to wing and just trying to do everything they feel they can do to make it work. Okay, so gov.uk is one of your go-to websites to get a job easily. All right, so let's search for another one. Let's search for data analyst. We've checked business analyst, right? Let's search for data analyst. I go to data analysts. You have data analysts with the NHS. This was posted on the 3rd of May. Data analysts with the NHS again. And I'll tell you that the NHS in the UK is the organization that has recruited the highest number of Tenalytics alumni. So we've had people go through our training programs, okay? The NHS would give you that job. So we have so many people that they've gotten the NHS job as data scientists, as data analysts, and I'll share some of them. I'll share their stories with you, their testimonials, what they've been able to do, getting a job with the NHS, because the NHS is one of the largest organizations in the UK, and they are always hiring every time. Okay, now let's even check for contract jobs. Okay, so this is a contract job, for example, and it says £450 per day, similar to the business analyst that we saw earlier. All right, so if I click on contract, for example, you'd also see different jobs, contract jobs as a data analyst. This is a data analyst's governance and quality, £700 per day. Okay, so this is more like it as a data analyst. £700 is what you're likely going to make. Data analyst, data scientist, £750 to £800 per day. All right. Now, what is interesting is let's look at the skills required for this data scientist role. I'll click on that and let's see the requirements in the job description. Okay, so what do you need to know? You need to know mathematics, statistics as a data scientist. That's a given, and I'll show you that later in the slide. You need to know SQL, very, very important. For any role in data, you must know SQL, SQL, absolutely important. You must know one of either R or Python or SAS. Python, I would say, is the requirement for a data scientist. You must know how to use Python, okay? Now, that's all. So you know statistics, you know SQL, you know Python, and you can apply to this role. That pays you £700, £750 to £800 per day. So with this kind of job, you don't need to bother yourself, okay? Take your time, apply for your post-study work visa, and then you can focus on the job you are doing, gaining relevant experience, relevant UK experience, and at the same time, you're applying to other jobs that can sponsor you. But you're making money. You're not concerned about your bills. You're not bothered about, funds and so on and so forth. All right. Now that you've seen this website, and like I said, I kept all of this in, the slide for you to check them out. So the best way for you to go is search sponsored visa data analyst, sponsored visa business analyst, sponsored visa data scientist, sponsored visa. Just put that there, and then you start to see jobs along that line. Okay. Now you have CV Library, you have Google Jobs, read.co.uk. These are all sites that would, but I can bet you that between gov.uk and LinkedIn, 90% of you would get your jobs from these two websites. All right. Now we're going to tie the jobs we've seen. I'm going to tie them back to the skills, because a lot of you here would say, I don't have the skills. How can I get the skills? How can I learn to apply to these jobs? Do I need to go do another master's, or I'm doing my master's in data science at the moment? Is that enough for me? I'll tell you, if you're doing your master's in data science or business analytics and so on, and whatever they call it, you are never going to get the practical skills, the practical knowledge that the real world requires. And what you'd always find in a typical recruitment process here in the UK for roles that are technical, you'd have an assessment. So before they sit down with you to have conversations, you would have an assessment. So they would assess you, give you something to do, you do it, and then come to present to them. Okay, it's after that, they assess your skills. They've looked at your portfolio. They've looked at the projects you worked on. They'll then sit down to have a conversation with you. Okay, how do we get references? Abiola, I'm also getting there, don't worry. How do we get references? I'll tell you all about that. Okay, now, you've seen the job part of things. Okay, we've broken it down. How do you find the in-demand skills? Simple. Look at the shortage occupation list. And for the purpose of this session, focus on what? The two codes, 2135, 2136. Okay, and those are the tech-related roles. I'm going to tie them back to the specific roles in a few slides to go. All right. Now, you've looked at them, you've seen a data analyst, you've seen a business analyst role. You then ask the question, how can I get a job as a data analyst or as a business analyst? How can I get a job as a data analyst or as a business analyst? So I'll come back here too. We'll talk about that in a few slides, and then I'll teach you how to also prepare for interviews. What about jobs that requires experience? Blessing, I'll tell you how to navigate that. Okay, for jobs that require experience, I'll show you how to. I won't want to use the word circumvent, but I'll show you how to pass that hurdle of jobs that requires experience. I've gotten a job that requires 5 years experience with only 1 year experience. And I'll tell you how I did it. Okay, and anybody here can do it. It's not magic. It's not anything out of this world. Is very simple. Okay, but I'll come back to that, Blessing. Now, to get into tech, to learn a tech skill, you have to look at a couple of things. Okay, which particular tech area? Because tech itself is very broad. You have software development, you have UI UX, you have full stack developer, you have front end, you have back end. There are so many areas within the tech ecosystem. All right. So we're going to narrow it down to a couple of areas based on a few criteria that we have looked at in the past. Now, if you want to get into tech in the UK, across the globe, one of the things you want to also know is that tech roles are in very, very high demand. Okay, that's a given. It's in the UK shortage occupation list. So that tells you for a fact that it is very high in demand. Okay, and you'd see the UK, I'm just going to highlight that for you here. The UK, between now and the next 7 years, 5 to 7 years, you would have a shortage of about 2.9 million within the tech ecosystem itself, just here in the UK. And one other major statistic I want to quickly mention is every year the UK has a shortage of data roles in the tune of 30 30,000 vacancies. So there are 30,000 roles every year that goes unfilled because they don't have enough people with the right skills to fill those roles. Out of these 30,000 roles, the universities, unis, immigrants fills only 10,000. Okay, so the universities, immigrants, they graduate and fill only 10,000 of those roles. So there are 20,000 roles available unfilled across different companies because they don't have the right skills to fill those roles. So it now becomes, you ask yourself the question that if these opportunities exist, 20,000 roles every year, year in, year out, and by the year 2030, the UK alone would have about 2.9 million roles unfilled, simply because not enough, resources or human capital to fill those roles. It's a no-brainer. You don't need anybody to tell you that. The moment you gain those skills, the moment you learn those skills, you can apply and take advantage of the opportunities that exist in that space. And countries they've started to see that, look, for us to fill this particular shortage in our country, we must create additional pathways for people to come in to fill those roles. And you see countries with different visa pathways, okay? And because we are focusing on the UK, I'll just speak a little bit more on the UK, right? You have the Global Talent Visa. Some of you are not very familiar with the Global Talent Visa. Now, the Global Talent Visa is also a pathway, is one of the sweetest pathway to settling in the UK, one of the sweetest, all right? Now, why do I say it's one of the sweetest? It's one of the sweetest because there are two major, programs available from the Global Talent. You have the Global Talent, you have the Talent, and then you have the Promise. As a Global Talent, you have just 3 years to ILR. As a Global Promise, you have 5 years to ILR. ILR simply means indefinite leave to remain. So as a Global Talent, you've done 3 years, you can remain in the UK, you can apply to ILR immediately after 3 years. Okay, as a Global Promise, 5 years, you can apply to get your ILR. Okay, the requirement actually involves you to be in tech to take advantage of this particular pathway. So if you are not in tech, if you've not worked with a tech company, or you're not a tech bro, a tech sis, you're not working in any particular job function as a tech professional, you cannot take advantage of this pathway. But like I said, it's the sweetest because you don't have all the limitations you'd find with other visa pathways. So the Global Talent is another major aspect. And the reason why countries are creating this pathway is simply because they want you to take advantage of these opportunities, get into tech, get into the country, and stay in the country to add value to them. Okay. Now, the key reasons we selected and narrowed down all the different paths, all the different areas in tech. Like I said, tech is very broad. Okay. And you don't want to do too many things and lose track. You want to focus and narrow down on the areas that you can easily start to extract value. So if you've made an investment to learn a particular tech skill, how fast or how soon can you start to extract value from your investment? So we looked at 3 criteria in narrowing down the tech skills that you should focus on if you want to get a job in the UK, even before you finish your master's, if you're still doing your master's. All right. Number 1 is ease of learning. So how easy is it for me to learn? I've never done this before. I've never been in tech, but I want to transition. How easy would it be for me to learn? That's the first criteria we looked at. So programs that are very easy to learn. Secondly, easy to transition. Programs that are very easy to transition and get a job. And I just showed you a few minutes ago, the shortage occupation list. All right. Where you have shortage it means that the demand is very high. Okay, they actually require people to come in. They require people to fill those roles. However, the supply is short. So the moment you fall into the bucket of people with the skills to fill those roles, you'll be snapped out of the market at the snap of a finger. Okay, so ease of transitioning and high and rewarding salary. So because I want to get a job, I want to get a job very fast. I want to learn something I can use, get a job very fast, does not mean I shouldn't get high salary at the end of the day. And we saw a couple of roles, and you can also go to gov.uk, go to Indeed, CV Library, check for those roles. You can also filter to check for the contract jobs. If for some of you that are interested in doing that, the salaries are astronomical. So you still make high and rewarding salaries at the end of the day. So looking at these three criteria, we narrowed down the focus to just 7 programs. Only 7 programs where you can easily learn, easily transition and get a job, and also high and rewarding salary. And number 1 is business analysis. We looked at the business analyst role, okay? And there are hundreds of roles available on a daily basis for the business analyst. Data analytics, as a data analyst, there are too many roles available every day. For us as an organization, we get phone calls and we recommend people day in, day out to these recruiters who would reach out to us to say, do you have participants that can fit into this role? As a business analyst, as a data analyst, all right? We held a hackathon a few days ago. We had the lead data scientist that works with the Lloyds Banking Group. At the end of the session, she was so impressed by the presentation of the people in that participated in the hackathon that she said she would love to hire a couple of them. Okay, so we are currently in touch with them to also see how we can ensure that they stick to their word to hire some of those people that presented to work with the Lloyds Banking Group. You have financial analytics, you have HR analytics, full stack data science, data engineering, and power platform engineering. So these 7 roles all fall within the different tech areas any of you can jump into, get into and learn, and apply to jobs that fall within the shorted lists of 2135 and 2136. So again, people say knowledge is power, information is power. You have so many people, and I look in dismay when you have everybody jumping into care. I want to get care, I want to get a care job, yes, with all due respect to those who currently do care, but there are so many other opportunities available. So many. A lady last week got a job as a data analyst in her current organization where she works in the UK. All right. She held a different role that had nothing to do with tech. She joined the program. She has been learning. She learned Excel. She learned Power BI. She learned SQL. And then a role became available in the company. And she said she would like to apply. And I said, go ahead and apply. We worked with her during the recruitment process and she got the job. Her name is Happiness. She got the job. She was super excited. All right. And of course, these are the opportunities available. So you might currently be working, or you may be working in an organization today, but that's not what you really want to do. And opportunities become available. How do you tap into those opportunities? So I'm quickly going to do a very quick run through what the different programs entail. And then I'll show you how to prepare for interviews. And once we've done that, I'll start to take questions and answers, and we start to wrap up our session for today. All right. Now, as a business analyst, what do you do? What's the function of a business analyst? A lot of people would ask this question. Okay, I want to do business analysis, but what would I be doing? Your role is super exciting. As a business analyst, what you'll be doing is looking at the business as a whole, the entire organization, looking at their processes, helping them map out the current process that they have, and looking for inefficiencies in those processes. deploy strategies to optimize those processes. Some of the strategies would require automation. Some of those strategies would require different other, techniques to optimize those processes. Okay, that's the core of your role as a business analyst. You are mapping out processes, optimizing those processes through different strategies. You're going to do a lot of stakeholder analysis, working with the different stakeholders in the business, the different heads of departments, the head of units. You're going to manage projects in those companies. So for those of you that have project management skills, as a business analyst, you bring those skills into real life practice. Okay, you'll be using tools like, you learn SQL, Power BI, and Excel as a business analyst. Okay, you're going to learn process mapping. Like I said, process mapping is one of the key roles as a business analyst. You learn how to map out current processes, optimize those processes, deploy different strategies to ensure that if it takes us 1 week to complete a process, can we do it in 1 day? What are the things required? So you map out the process and look for the loopholes, inefficiencies to optimize those processes. You're going to initiate projects. You're going to plan projects, initiate projects. You learn Agile and Scrum for projects. Now, projects fail in organizations because you don't have proper management, and that's where business analysts are absolutely critical. So you would learn how to use tools like Jira, like Confluence, to do what? To manage projects and collaboration. You'd learn the software development lifecycle, requirement fundamentals. So as a business analyst, you're going to gather a lot of requirements. So let's take, for example, you want to optimize a process. You go to the operations unit and you start having interviews. You elicit information from them. You sit down with them to discuss, and you understand what they need to get them to where they should be. You're going to do what? You're going to create a requirement document as a business analyst. You get this through elicitation, stakeholder analysis, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what you do as a business analyst. You're going to learn elicitation. You're going to learn stakeholder analysis and engagement. Now, once you've learned all these skills, from Excel to Power BI to SQL for data analytics to help you understand, manipulate data, extract insights from data, you then learn the core business analysis tools, process mapping. So you'd learn how to use Draw.io, how to use Visio for mapping out processes, project initiation planning, Agile and Scrum, Waterfall, software development lifecycle, requirements fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis, and engagement. So these are the skills required for you to become a business analyst. Now, people would ask that, how can I get it? How can I, get a job like this? How can I learn the skill to get this job? Simple. It takes you 3 months to get started as a business analyst, to learn the skills and get started. And that's why when we looked at the different roles within the shortage occupation, I mentioned something very important. There are some roles there that would require you to go back to learn for 4 years. You need to have an engineering degree to even get started. As a business analyst, with 3 months, 2 months, project-based classes. And this is where life is different from your university. For those of you doing your master's, or for those of you that have graduated, or you just started, in your university, you attend lectures, you do assignments, coursework, and so on and so forth. You write research papers and all of that. As a business analyst in this program, you are doing what? Working on projects, real life projects. You are solving problems. Right from day one, when you start to learn Excel, you're working on projects. Okay? And that's what you do for the entirety of 2 months that you've been learning as a business analyst. Now, once you are done, you then have an internship for 1 month. Now, the internship helps you to build a portfolio of projects, Now, not having a portfolio as a business analyst or not having a portfolio as a data analyst, you are wasting your time. You're not going to get a job. Because recruiters, and this is where I'll come back to Blessing's question. When Blessing asked the other time that a job requires 3 years experience or 5 years experience, I don't have that. What do I do? This is where your projects would come to bear. Okay, so what's the quality of the projects you worked on? Tell me about what you've done as a business analyst. The quality of the projects in your portfolio would help you cross that mark by 50%. Okay, the other aspect would be with how you can tailor your CV, because of course, most of you would have past experience, but not as a business analyst. So maybe you worked in the bank as a teller or as a cashier or whatever the case might be, you worked somewhere before. How do you tailor your previous work experience to fit into the role of business analysis? And these are some of the things we will work with you to help you couch. So you'd learn how to tailor your CV so that your past experience would still be relevant when applying to that job. Okay, so when you see a job that requires 5 years experience and you are just new to business analysis, first of all, your projects would get you halfway. The way you are able to now couch the rest of your experience you've had in your previous work doing something different, you now merge that with business analysis, because now you've learned business analysis, right? You merge them together. That gets you to the finish line. Okay, so when you're talking, you're not going to be saying that I was a cashier. You talk in a way that would fit into the business analysis narrative, and you show them the projects you've worked on, and that is where you get the job at the end of the day. Okay, now let's move a little bit faster so I can walk you through all the other programs. All right, now as a data analyst, what do you do as a data analyst? As a data analyst, you are helping organizations make sense of the data that they have. You help them look at the data, you extract the data that the company generates, analyze the data, extract insights to help them take decisions. Why are we losing money? Where are we losing money? What do we need to do? How do we get more customers? Which areas do we need to focus on to deploy more resources? That's where a data analyst would come to play. So you're going to learn you learn problem solving, which is your critical skill as a data analyst, because that's what you'll be doing, solving problems, helping the company answer questions. Now, to analyze the data you need to analyze, to extract the insights, to visualize your analysis and present to the stakeholders that will take the final decision, you'd learn how to use Excel, SQL, structured query language, Power BI, and Tableau for data analytics and data visualization. And then you learn data storytelling. So these are the skills required for you to jump into data analytics. And just like the business analysis role, you can learn this within the space of 3 months. 2 months project-based learning, and then 1 month internship. Again, the internship is to build projects that you fit into your portfolio. Because as a business analyst, a company wants to recruit and hire a data analyst. They would ask you to work on a data set. They'll give you a data set and say, go and analyze the data. Let's see what you come up with. Do a presentation to us. Based on that presentation, they can assess your understanding of all these skills I just highlighted. Once they've seen that, okay, you know how to use Power BI, your Power BI skills, good. Excel, good. SQL, good. Now let's have a conversation. All right, let's test your behavioral competencies. So as a data analyst, which is also very high in demand in the UK, I'll tell you for a fact that you have this skill. Getting a job is just a matter of time and how much time you dedicate to searching for jobs. You get the job, there's no doubt about that. Financial analytics. This is where financial skills would match with data analytics. So the fusion of data analytics and finance, right? Or data analytics and investment banking. So you are going to learn data analytics skills, problem solving, Excel and Power BI, to manipulate data, to analyze data, to visualize the data, And then you'd also learn skills like accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity, and scenario analysis. You'd learn this as well. Now, is there any organization in the world that does not require a financial analyst? The answer is no. Finance, accounting is the language of business, and you don't need any prior skill to get started. That's the amazing stuff. You don't need any prior knowledge, prior experience. It is 100% beginner friendly. So if you've never done this before, your very first class on Excel, for example, would be on Excel environment. Okay, so that's the beauty, because for those who don't have the knowledge, for those who don't have the skill, the goal is, how do I learn the skill to apply to the jobs that we've seen that are available and everywhere in the UK? So we want to change that narrative of Africans, of Nigerians, always being the ones to rush to get the care jobs and to get the warehouse jobs, customer service. Not that there's anything wrong with them, but we're just saying that there are so many other opportunities available. Let's give other opportunities another try. And we've just seen that no awareness, people are not aware, they don't know that these pathways actually exist. And that's why we hold sessions like this to show you that, yes, these opportunities do exist, and you can also get into those opportunities, extract value from them, and start to, get a job here in the UK as well. Okay. Now, HR analytics, simply you learning how to use data analytic tools to analyze HR data. All right. So HR, you have a lot of HR professionals, and all they do are just the normal conventional HR stuff. They look at leave, they look at, okay, how many people are going on training and things like that. So the move or the shift from that conventional HR to a more strategic HR, where you are doing what? You are looking at performance evaluation. You are looking at creating HR dashboards to show the different facets of the business with regards to the people in that organization. All right. You're able to predict what is likely going to happen with regards to attrition, with regards to, people leaving the company, and you can deploy strategies to keep them in the organization. Okay. You're going to learn how to automate your reports and so on and so forth. You would learn how to do all of these things by leveraging on the data analytics skills you'd learn from problem solving, Excel, and Power BI. Okay, Excel is that tool that I would say one of the most versatile tools you'd ever learn as anybody who works with data eventually. Excel is absolutely phenomenal. All right. Now, how long does it take as well? It takes you just 3 months as well. 2 months project-based learning. Project-based learning. I always like to emphasize that you are working on projects. So you are doing the practical stuff. All the projects you're going to work on are similar to what you do in the real life. So it's not a case of you having to go back to read and come to write an exam like you typically do or you're used to with the conventional university system. This is a system whereby you are applying the skills you are learning immediately, and that's how it sticks. And when you get into the real world, you are given a task to build a HR dashboard. You're not going to flinch. Immediately, you know what to do. You know how to use Power BI. You get the data and you get going and you get the job done. Okay. Now, these 4 areas I just mentioned, from business analysis to data analytics to financial analytics to HR analytics, you don't need to learn programming. You don't need to learn mathematics. You don't need to learn statistics. All right. Now, for those of you, so that's for those of you that are a little bit scared of, I don't want to do math. I don't want to do statistics. I'm scared of that. So this is for you. Okay. You can do business analysis. You can do data analytics, financial analytics, HR analytics. Okay. Now, for those of you that you don't mind learning some statistics. And now when people get scared of statistics, it's actually very funny to me, because statistics that you are scared of are the simple things that you've always known, but you never knew how to apply them. All right. For example, everybody knows what mean. If you say calculate the mean. Mean simply means average. All right, calculate the mean, median, and mode. We learned that, way back in primary and high school. But we never knew the application of mean, the application of mode, the application of median. Those are the type of things you'll be learning and how to apply them. And the moment you learn something, and you know the reason why you are learning this thing, you know what the mean means, how is it applied in the real world to solve problems and come up with solutions, it then starts to make a lot of sense to you. So you learn in the full stack data science program, you are learning statistics, which is the fundamental of predictive analytics. You want to know what will happen in the future, this is for you, okay? And organizations would always want to know what would happen in the future so they can plan ahead, all right? So an airline company would want to know what will happen in the future, what the demand would look like, okay? A hotel business would also want to know. Any business would want to know so they can forecast and prepare ahead, all right? Now, as a full stack data scientist, emphasis on the word full stack. You're going to learn predictive analytics and forecasting. You'd learn advanced Excel. You're going to learn Tableau for analytics. You'd learn SQL, structured query language. Like I mentioned, if you are getting into any area that requires any role that has data in front of it, so data engineer, data scientist, data analyst, business analyst, you can't do without learning SQL. If you don't learn SQL, structured query language, then you're not ready to go anywhere. Structured query language is simply a language that helps you interact with databases. So organizations would have their data in a database, either a database on-prem or a database in the cloud. So how do you access that database to extract data from the database before you can even start to analyze? So interacting with databases itself is hinged on the knowledge of SQL. And that's why it's, fundamentally necessary for anybody getting into data. You learn Python programming. Of course, you're going to learn Python programming to help you manipulate data, carry out exploratory data analysis. You would use it to build machine learning models and also computer vision. All right. So most of us, we have our iPhone, we have our mobile phones. We take the phones, we put it in front of our faces, and then it unlocks the phone. Have you ever wondered the technology that, enables that to happen? You'll be building projects similar to that, computer vision. All right. So it's simply a computer program that you write that would look at your face, learn what your face looks like. So whenever it sees the face the second time, it carries out a particular action. So object detection, you learn how to build projects like that in the full stack data science program. Okay, and of course, we've looked at the salaries as well when I was showing you a couple of roles within these areas. So as a full stack data scientist, you are moving into a full-time role. You're looking at £50,000 on the average. In Canada is about 94,000 Canadian dollars. In the US is about 121,000 US dollars. So it's a role that pays very well as a full stack data scientist. And you are learning so many, tools, Excel, advanced Excel, Tableau, SQL, predictive analytics, machine learning, both supervised and unsupervised machine learning. And you're also going to learn computer vision as well. All right. As a full stack data scientist, your role is focused on helping the company understand what is happening in the company, looking at their data, and also helping them forecast and predict what is likely going to happen in the future. All right. Now let's move into data engineering, which is, I would say, a very sweet role as well. Data engineering does not require mathematics, does not require statistics, but it requires a lot of coding. You are going to code Python, using Python, and so on. So as a data engineer, what's your role? Now, the data analyst, the business analyst, the HR analytics professional, the financial analytics professional, the data scientist, they all need data to carry out their roles, to carry out their responsibilities. Without data, they can't do their job. Okay. So who is responsible for getting the data to these particular people? That's the data engineer. So you have the company generating data from different systems, different sources. The data engineer's responsibility is to create pipelines from those different sources and bring the data into a central location for anybody who needs access to that data to get the data to do whatever analysis they want to do. So that's the data engineer for you. So you're not analyzing the data yourself. You are not telling the company what to do based on your insight and analysis. You are simply just getting the data from the different locations, making it available to anybody who wants to access that data. So as a data engineer, you're going to learn introduction to data engineering, SQL again. Remember, I said SQL is very, very important for anybody who wants to get into anything related to data. You learn how to build custom ETL pipelines and APIs. You learn Python programming, okay? You learn a lot of coding using Python because Python will form one of the most critical tools to your role as a data engineer. You learn orchestration and scheduling using Apache Airflow. So now you've gotten different data sources, right? Data from different data sources. You don't want to do all those steps again manually every day. So you are going to schedule different jobs that would automate the process of getting the data from those sources into a central location like a data warehouse. And you do that using Apache Airflow for orchestration and scheduling. You'd also learn AWS, Amazon Web Services, cloud engineering, and version control using Git. All right. So today you have AWS is one of the most, I would say, used cloud service available out there. All right. So you learn how to interact with AWS systems. You learn AWS cloud engineering. You learn version control as a data engineer. Okay, so these are the skills. And for data engineers, the salaries are superb. Okay, phenomenal. You have all these skills, you can do all these things. And because a lot of people run away from coding, that's why roles like that are high in demand. There is no day that goes by that I don't receive an email or I don't receive a phone call for a data engineer role. I always do. All right. So for a data engineer, it's going to take you 4 months to get into data engineering from beginner, zero. In 4 months, you get to that stage. 3 months, project-based learning. So you're going to dedicate 4 months of your time to getting all the skills you need. 3 months, project-based learning, and then 1 month internship. Okay, so now picture yourself. We are already in May. Let's assume you start at the end of May. Okay, June, July, August, September. So by the end of September, when most of you be wrapping up your programs, you can also be getting started as a data engineer because you've completed your program, you've completed all the things you need to do, you've built your projects from your internship, and then you are good to go. Same with the full stack data science is also for 4 months. Now, the reason why the duration is a bit longer than the other ones for data analytics and business analysis is here, you need to learn how to use Python. Okay, so you're going to use Python, and Python is one of the easiest and most versatile programming languages you would ever learn. All right, so you need to learn starting from the beginning, the basics. You need to learn how to use Python. So it's going to take you 4 months, 3 months project-based learning, and then 1 month internship. Remember, your internship is to do what? Help you build a portfolio. To help you build a portfolio. Now, the last but not the least, can a child of 16 years learn data engineering before getting into uni? Absolutely. Absolutely. The younger you are, the sharper, obviously, to pick up these things. For adults that are a bit distracted, you find out they have so many things to think about. Okay, how do I pay the bills at the end of the month? A 16-year-old can learn. Okay, I've had my own, of course, personally, my family members, my cousins, I've gotten them into tech and they've learned this and they do projects for me. I have projects I need them to do, send it across to them, they get it done. So they also work remotely. They have Upwork profiles where they work remotely. They earn in dollars all the way from Nigeria and so on. So 16-year-old absolutely can learn these skills. It doesn't, of course, he or she would have to eventually go through a bachelor's degree if they want to stay back home, if they're in Nigeria, wherever they are in Africa. But if you're moving into the UK, for example, some organizations would require you not to have a bachelor's degree. And all they want to see is that you meet and you have all these skills to work as a data engineer. Last but not the least is Power Platform engineering. And I'll quickly talk about this. Now, for some of you, full stack data science is interesting, data engineering is interesting, but I don't want to code. Okay, I don't want to code, I don't want mathematics, I don't want statistics, but I want to build programs, I want to build applications. All right. Now, most of you would know Power BI. If I ask you the question, let me ask, if you've heard about Power BI before, type yes into the chat. If you've heard about Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, type yes into the chat. I can bet a minimum of 50% of you would know Power BI, minimum of 50%, half of you, right? But Power BI is just one application in a platform called Power Platform. So the Power Platform contains different other applications, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, and Power Automate. So you have Power BI, you have Power Apps, you have Power Virtual Agent, and you have Power Automate. Power BI is just one out of those applications. Now, as a Power Platform engineer, what you'll be doing for a company is to help them build custom applications. So there's an application that the company needs, but they don't want to hire a developer. They don't want to build something too complex because it's a simple application they need to carry out a task. So it's an inventory control system or something like that. How do we create this application in our company? Here comes the Power Platform engineer. So you have skills in the use of Microsoft Power Apps that helps you create applications without writing codes. And that's the beauty of Power Platform. So with Power Apps, you are building applications, custom-made applications without writing codes. So it's called no-code, low-code applications. Okay. Now with Power Automate helps you automate processes that you would normally have to do manually. So let's take, for example, you're building an application and part of the requirements of that application requires you getting data or getting something from an email that drops every Monday. So rather than going to your email manually to pick that data, you create an automated process that picks the email every Monday and dumps that email where you want it to be dumped, dumps the data from the email where you want it to be dumped. You create those automated processes using Power Automate. Now, you've all gone to websites and you've chatted with somebody, and then you get to realize that, oh, I don't think I'm actually chatting with a human being. You are chatting with a chatbot. So you see those chatbots that respond to your messages online when you get into a website. Those chatbots are created using Power Virtual Agents. So with Power Virtual Agents, you are creating chatbots with AI-based functionality. Okay, you are creating chatbots with AI-based functionality. That's the Power Virtual Agent. So you are going to learn Power BI to do your normal visualization, analysis, and so on. You're also going to learn SQL. So the beauty of a BI Power Platform engineer is you have two roles embedded into that role. The first one is the BI engineer, because you know Power BI and then you know SQL. So you can apply as a BI engineer to any company. The second role is then the Power Platform engineer, because you would also learn Power Application, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. Okay, how long does it take for you to learn this and get started? 3 months. And the beauty is, the very first day in class, you are building your first application. That's how practical it is. The very first day in class, you are building your first application. Okay, so for 3 months, you dedicate yourself, you learn how to become a Power Platform engineer, project-based learning for 2 months, and then for 1 month, you work on your projects to build your portfolio, and then you can apply to any job out there. Okay, now I've walked you through all the 7 different career paths. Remember, we said focusing on the shortage occupation list. The shortage occupation list, where you have the code 2135 and 2136, 5 and 6, that focuses on tech-related roles that are high in demand and organizations want to hire for those roles. So from business analysis to Power Platform engineer, irrespective of your knowledge, your experience, your background, your degree, you can get started in any of them and access global opportunities available. Okay, now I talked about the fact that once you've learned the skill itself, it's usually not enough. Why? The competition is very high. Okay, so when we went on LinkedIn, you saw that, oh, 21 people have applied, 50-something people have applied. What eventually sets you apart from others? I'll be showing you. How do you eventually get that job? Because the technical skill is one part. Okay, what helps you to get the job is a different part entirely. You need to combine the two to help you make that transition. So you must have the skill, and then you must have the soft skill, the technical skill and the soft skill. It's a combination of the two that helps you get the job. And I'll be showing you that in the next 2 slides, okay? Now, a lot of you would ask the question that, okay, how am I going to learn? Do I learn during the week? Because I'm doing my master's and I'm busy Monday to Friday. I also work. So how do I join a program like this? How do I learn the skill? You have a learning roadmap. And one of the first things is you are learning from the best in the business, okay? You're not learning from people that are trying to figure things out. You're learning from people that have done it. They continue to do it. And we've helped so many people to make that transition. So first of all, you have your 3 months plus learning journey. 2 months project-based live classes. Once you're done with your classes, you work on a capstone project. Once you're done with your capstone project, you then join the internship, okay? Your classes are 100% virtual, 100% virtual. You are learning from the best in the business. You can sit at the comfort of your home and learn from the best. That's the beauty of virtual learning. You have collaboration platforms where you can collaborate with other learners, collaborate with your facilitators, collaborate with myself and any other, contemporary you have learning that program as well. Your classes happen on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays and Sundays. So if you're a busy professional or you are a busy student during the week, Saturdays and Sundays, 3 hours on Saturdays, 3 hours on Sunday. That's when you have your classes. And on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., that's using the British summertime, BST, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. On Sunday, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Okay. Last but not the least, the focus, like I said, is to ensure that you are job ready. So you have so many recruitment hack sessions to help you get into the job market here in the UK. All right. I'm going to take you to the things you need to do specifically to get the job. You've seen how to look for the jobs. You've seen the shortage occupation list. You've seen the list of companies that can sponsor. You know where to search for these jobs: LinkedIn, gov.uk, read.co.uk, Indeed, and so on and so forth. The next thing is, what are the things I need to get? What do I need to get sorted out while I'm learning this technical skill? What else do I need? The other 50% that you need to match the technical skill are these 6 areas. And this is where analytics also comes to play with you guys. All right. So I've seen some questions coming in like, okay, how do I optimize my LinkedIn profile? How do I review my CV? How do I navigate the job market? How do I get a referee? How do I get references? Number one, we help you with your CV review. We have CV review sessions where we show you we're not going to do the CV for you, because we do your CV for you. The next job application, you are stuck. You don't know what to do. We equip you with the skills to tailor your CV to match any job description you see, leveraging different tools, AI, GPT tools like ChatGPT, to help you tailor your CV to any job description you find out there. So that when you put out your CV, when you send that application, you get a feedback. At the minimum, you get an interview. Sorry, excuse me. I just recovered from a bout of cold last week, so just trying to gather and ensure that my voice is good enough for you guys to hear me clearly. Secondly, once you're done with your CV must always align to your LinkedIn profile. And that's where LinkedIn optimization comes. So you can't have a shabby looking LinkedIn profile and then expect to get a job. You can't want to get into data analytics and then you don't have any aspect of your CV that shows data analytics. You don't have your dashboard. You don't have your project on your LinkedIn. You're not going to get a job that way. So whatever you do, you showcase yourself to the world, all right? Showing them what you've done. Creating social proof that shows that you know this stuff, you know how to do it, and you publish it on LinkedIn. Navigating the job market. You see this session we've had so far: shortage occupation list of companies that can sponsor. You would have these sessions every single week. Every single week. These are some of the things you'll get. These are some of the things you'll get in a typical Tenalytics program. How to navigate the job market, recommendations and references. If I open up my email, I'll show you some of them. Some people that have gotten jobs before the company eventually signed to say, yes, starts on Monday. They reached out to us to say that this gentleman used you as a referee. Can you fill this form to serve as a referee for him? Provide a reference. Those that are also trying to apply to masters, they're doing their master's degree and so on and so forth. They're looking for placements. Your current master's requires placements. We also stand in where you can, work with us for your placements. We provide a reference for you. We provide and stand as referees for you as well. Now, interview preparation, I've talked about that already. So you have an interview. What we do is we sit down with you and we walk you through every single step of the way for your interview. All right. From when you get your, invitation, you let us know. And then we work with you to ensure that you are prepared to go into that room to showcase the best version of yourself. Now, one of the things you also need is a mentor when you get into this space. So you have weekly mentorship sessions. Sorry, excuse me. So you have weekly mentorship sessions that happens every Wednesday evening, where you sit with myself, sit with the co-founder, and then we walk you through every single question that you have, how to navigate the markets. I'm applying, but I'm getting rejections. What are you doing wrongly? We sit down with you to help you address all of that. Okay. Now you ask the question that, okay, what does it take for me to join? Adeza, you've been seeing a lot of fantastic stuff. What makes Tenalytics different? How can I join? I want to join. All right. Now, some of the professionals we work with, you work with the co-founder of Tenalytics, Femena. You work with myself. You work with Nene, who is a commercial analyst in the UK. You work with Nena, who is a product analyst, experienced professional. Obina, who is a data scientist, Shehu, business analysis. That's the person that's going to work with you. And these are people that have experience, not just about the role itself, but in the UK. Teniola works with the Big Four. So she would bring all her experience to bear to help you navigate your journey into the space as well. You have Francis. Francis is a fantastic business analyst who has years of experience in the UK. So you work with people that will help you navigate your journey in the UK. All the programs we've seen so far, that I've shown you so far, from number 1 to number 7, either the business analyst, the data analyst, the financial analytics professional, the HR analytics professional, the full stack data scientist, the data engineer, and the Power Platform engineer, the 7 programs. The next cohort starts on the 27th of May. Okay. And this is where I come to the 4th section of our program for today, where we said the upcoming program for Tenalytics. All right. So on the 27th of May, we have a new program starting where you would start your journey into tech. So for those of you who would want to get into data analytics, business analysis, you've always been thinking, how can I get started? Where do I get started? 27th of May, we have a new cohort starting, and you can get started on the 27th of May. So the question most of you would also have is, how much does it cost? What does it take for me to get into the program? All right. The program costs £400 for you to join. If you're paying in pounds, and if you're paying in Naira, it's 320,000 Naira. Okay. Now, what we also do when we have sessions like this is to give the opportunity to those who want to be a part of the program to take advantage of the discounts we have available. So we have an ongoing discount that I'll quickly share with you, and then I'll start to take your questions for the session for today. All right. Now, the discount available is, instead of paying £400 to get started, okay, pay a discounted fee of £300, £200 first payments to get into the class, and then a balance of £100 1 month after the program has started. Okay. And this fee is for the full stack data science, data analytics, all the other programs except data engineering. So data engineering has a different fee. So if you want to join the business analysis program, for example, you are paying £300 for the entire program, 200 to get started, and then £100 1 month into the program. If you're paying in Naira, instead of paying 320,000, you get to pay 270, 180 to get into the class, and then 90,000 1 month into the program. For the data engineering program, you have discounted fee of £400 instead of 500. And then you pay £300 to get started, and then £100 1 month into the program. They're paying in Naira, it's 350,000 discounted fee, 250 to get started, 100,000 1 month into the program. So this is the investment you need to make. And one thing I just want to make very clear is 2 things. First of all these slots gets picked up as fast as possible. Before the end of today, tomorrow, the whole 20 slots is gone. So if it's something you'd love to get into, I want to become a data analyst. Okay, I just completed my master's. I really don't know what to do. I want to, create more opportunities available when I'm done. learn data analytics, learn business analysis, financial analytics, get into one of these programs. And all it takes is a discounted fee of £300, money you make in a week and a half, and to learn something that will transform your career, transform your journey, transform your stay in the UK for the while you'll be in the UK. All right. So if you want to make payments, all you need to do is make payment to any of the bank accounts you have on the screen. My colleagues will share that into the chat. All you need to do is once you make payments into our account detail in the UK, for example, if you're paying in pounds, you can make payment to our UK bank account. If you're paying in Naira, you can pay to our Fidelity bank account. Or, so if I were you, what I'll simply do is I'll take a screenshot of the account details if I need to take advantage, or I even have more questions I want to ask. Okay, about the data analytics, can you tell me, I've been doing civil engineering, is this something I can do? Take advantage of the discount and make payments. And then we'll have the conversations, we'll have clarity sessions where you get to select the specific program that you feel you'd get the best, value from in terms of your current journey, your current career track, where you'd like to get to in the next few years. You can also make payments through PayPal using any of these links. If you want to make full payments, all you have to do is click on this link, and that gives you can make the full payment of £300. Or if you want to make part payments, you click on this link as well, and then you can make the part payments using this particular link. Once you've made payments, all you need to do is you fill this form, we get your details, you upload your proof of payment, we confirm your payment, and then we send you a welcome kit. Now, the welcome kit contains all the materials you need for the program. So in data analytics, for example, you need to have Tableau, you need to have SQL, you need to have Excel, all the programs you need, you'd have that in the welcome kit, the links, the guide on how to download and install, and so on and so forth. And if by any chance you want to reach out to us, ask us questions, you can always do that by sending us messages to any of these numbers. So like I said, if I were you, I want to take advantage of the discounts. All I'll do is I'll take the screenshots of the account details, and then I would like to get my journey started. Now, before I open the floor for questions, I want to quickly show you some people that have gone through our program before. Like I said, I was going to show you and how they've been able to transition. Now, first of all, I want to share Whistle's story. Whistle's story is phenomenal. The reason is simply, Whistling was doing something entirely different, okay? Now, she joined our program, and then she got opportunity to interview for a particular role. She reached out to me to say, I have this particular interview coming up. Can you work with me to help? And I said, absolutely. Super excited to work with you, Whistling. I worked with Whistling, and she was able to land a full-time job with Shell, not Shell in Nigeria, Shell in the UK. And today, Whistling works as a sales analyst with Shell in the UK. I'd also like to share another very interesting story with you. His name is Adebisi, okay? And I'm going to give you the slide. Everybody's story here is unique and absolutely fantastic, but I'm sharing the ones that you can easily relate. You can relate to. Idris got a job with Jaguar Land Rover here in the UK as a data engineer after completing our full stack data science program. Now, let me show you the job role for Idris, the job role Idris applied to get this job. Okay, I'll show you the job role. Then the company also reached out to us to provide a reference for Idris. We provided a reference for Idris, and then he got the job working with Jaguar Land Rover here in the UK. All right. Another interesting person I want to also mention is Ebube. Ebube got a job with the NHS as a data scientist after completing our full stack data science program. Ebube sending us a message to say, this is my first proper job in the UK after Tenalytics. And I'm sure a lot of you can also relate to this. Come to the UK, do a couple of jobs, odd jobs that ordinarily you would not do, but eventually you learn a skill that would help you transition. And if you remember when I mentioned that the NHS is one of the organizations that has recruited the highest number of our participants, our alumni, the NHS, super fantastic. They always recruit every single time. Victor got a job as a people's operations analyst. He works in Nigeria. He is in Nigeria, but he works for a company in Chicago, Illinois. He works remotely. He earns in dollars and spends in Naira. That's the life. Okay. We have Rafiat works as a business analyst with the post office here in the UK. She joined the business analysis program, and there are so many of them. But I said I was going to show you Idris. And I'll quickly show you the job Idris applied to. And he got the job around February this year. Okay. Now, if you look at the slide, one of the websites I gave to you, I'm just quickly going to go back there to show you, right? One of the slides, one of the companies I highlighted is UK Visa Jobs, all right? UK Visa Jobs. Now, UK Visa Jobs is one website I can guarantee that you're likely going to get a job, but it requires you to make some payments, okay? So that's why a lot of people would not really use that, okay? But let me show you Idris that got a job with Land Rover, how we got the job. So I'll go to ukvisajobs.com. Okay, ukvisajobs.com, and we'll look at the role together, okay? Now, scrolling down a little bit, you'd see this role that says what? Data engineer, Jaguar Land Rover. You can see that, right? And that's the exact same role Idris currently holds. So let me just quickly go back there, show you, then come back here. All right? Idris at DBC. Idris at DBC. Fantastic gentleman. All right? Oh, sorry, I shared the wrong slide. Okay, sorry. I shared the wrong slide. I'll just quickly go back to Idris. So that's Idris. So that's Idris here. He works with Land Rover, Jaguar Land Rover here in the UK as a data engineer, right? So this was the role he applied to, data engineer, Jaguar Land Rover. If I click on that, you'd see that it will tell you that the job is no longer available. Sorry, this position has been filled. Has been filled by who? Idris at DBC. We are always super excited when, you know, an alumnus gets a job with top organizations across the globe. Now, I also mentioned that when Idris got this job, okay, when people ask, oh, how do you provide references, or how do you stand as a referee for people? The company reached out to us to provide a reference, okay? While I'll not show too many details, I'll just show you the email, all right? So Idris, if I type Idris at DBC, the request for reference is going to come up, okay? And just, this is typical for organizations that wants to hire, all right? They reach out to us, okay? So while I don't show too much details, they reached out to us to say, Idris at DBC, reference for, request for reference. And the recruiter simply sent us a message to say, Idris at DBC is starting as a data engineer for us and has provided your details to us in order to obtain a reference. Please see the attached documents and send us the complete information with regards to the documents. Of course, they scanned 2 documents. They sent us 2 documents that I filled and I sent back to them, okay? Hello, Kerry, good day, and thank you for your email. Kindly see the completed reference form attached to this email. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me, okay? So I filled the form and I sent it back to them. Responded to say received with thanks, okay? So this was early this year, I think it was February. Idris is currently on this role, okay? And for us, like we always say, with every other person that has gotten a job with us at 10 Analytics, we are super excited to be a part of their journey. And for those in the UK who always feel that, look, there are no opportunities in the UK, I always ask the question, do you have the skills to actually compete for these jobs? All right. And I want to show you Idris' profile. The reason why I want to show you is this. It's always important to tailor why a LinkedIn optimization session is absolutely necessary. So I'm going to go to Idris' profile and let's see what his profile looks like. Idris Adebisi. Yes. Okay. So you clearly see, and this is one thing we always advise our participants, when you study with us, include it in your LinkedIn. All right. So this is Idris Adebisi, data engineer, Coventry, England. All right. So today he works as a data engineer with Jaguar Land Rover after learning with us as a data scientist. And he clearly, indicated it there. All the things he learned, his skills, he also indicated. And these are some of the things would help you bring to bear. Okay, as a data analyst, as a data engineer, as a business analyst, what are the key areas, the key aspects you need to put on your LinkedIn profile? Because like I said, your LinkedIn profile serves as what? Social proof that you've done this, you can do it, and you are the best person for the job. Okay. So that's Idris' story. There are so many stories that I'd love to share with you, but unfortunately, we don't have so much time. Ebube's story is also phenomenal. Ebube works today with the NHS as a data scientist. You have Uthman. Uthman was fresh out of the university. He worked with the NHS as well as a business intelligence officer. Uthman also, before the company recruited him, they also sent us an email to provide a reference for him. And these are the things we have been doing. And when we say that we've been able to help over 300 people transition in 2022, this is how we've been able to do it. Okay. So what I'm simply going to do is, what is the guarantee that I will be guided till I get a job afterwards? Because I've done a training before and I had to do everything myself with just materials. And currently, as we speak, there is a mentorship session that is ongoing. Currently, as we speak, the co-founder of Tenalytics, FMN, is holding a mentorship session. We have these sessions every single week. So for us, I can come here to brag to you today that Idris has got a job. They sent us a message. They sent us an email. Ebube, Victor, Rafiat, Ubong, Abdurrashid. Abdurrashid lives in Ilori in Nigeria. Abdurrashid works remotely as a data scientist out of Nigeria. He works with Chow 420 in the US as a data scientist after training with us. Okay. And what Abdurrashid does for us today is he comes back to help other people. So we bring people like Abdurrashid. It's easier for you to connect with somebody who has done what you are trying to do. So Abdurrashid has worked with so many of our participants, showing them, look, this is how you get remote opportunities. This was how I got mine. This was what I did. These were the strategies I deployed. So somebody like Abdurrashid, we can brag about him because we were part of his story, and how you get your journey started all is through the process. Every single thing we've shown, from the technical skill to your CV, LinkedIn, navigating the job market, and so on and so forth. The last thing I'll show you before we go into question and answers, based on the question I saw, how do I ensure that, we are a part of your journey? I'll quickly show you what our platform looks like, okay? So when you join, you never miss a program. And what does it mean? And this is the beauty of virtual learning, okay? You can work remotely from anywhere. You can work remotely, you can learn remotely as well, okay? So virtual learning, when you join our Google Classroom. So this is a program for data analytics, okay? Data analytics. And I want to quickly show you what the Google Classroom looks like, all right? So the Google Classroom is where all your materials are hosted, your data sets, your projects, your case studies, every single thing. So you have an onboarding session, you have your welcome kit, obviously, that contains all your materials. You have a pre-onboarding session. You have an onboarding session where you have links and materials on how to download different programs and so on and so forth. You have your first problem solving class, you have your Excel class, but I don't want to focus too much on this, all right? Now, this is the very first mentorship session. Now, let's take, for example, you missed the mentorship session. All you need to do, come to the recording, click on the link, and it takes you to the recorded session. So you're not missing out on anything at the end of the day. We know you are busy. Sometimes you have projects. Sometimes you need to do one or two things. You have everything in your Google Classroom. Now, this is another mentorship session too. So week in, week out, we have this happening. Now, this session, I took this session where I showed them how to do what? Use the STAR approach. The STAR approach is part of the slides I have on my deck today. I'm going to share that with you as well. How to use the STAR approach during interviews, the STAR approach and the SEAT approach. We held this during one of our mentorship sessions, okay? Now you have your CV review session. It's a live session, right? But you have the recording here as well, okay? So you have your different classes, Excel class 2, Excel class 4, Power BI class 1, navigating the job market. Okay, so this is a live session where, let's look at the recording and see. It's a live session where you have a recorded session, somebody coming around to show you how to navigate the job market. Where are you? You are in the UK, you are in the US, you are in Canada, you are in Nigeria. How do you navigate the job market? All right, let me see if we can have a look at this session and see what the live session looks like. All right, so I'm just going to mute so that it doesn't. So like I said earlier, that's Abdurrashid, okay? So practical session, Abdurrashid got a remote job. He came back, we brought him back to say, look, you have other people who want to get remote jobs. Let them learn from you, okay? You are a success story, you've done it. Come back, show other people the journey, all right? So it's not Adeza, it's not the co-founder of Tenalytics showing you what to do. It's somebody who has done the same thing, showing you practically how to move your way around stuff, okay? Now, at the end of this session, one of the things we also provided are the job sites. Where are the sites I can apply to jobs? You have an exhaustive list of different job sites where you can apply to jobs. That's navigating the job market. And as you go up, you see the mentorship session 3, mentorship session 4, you know, mentorship session 4, and right until you get a job, you have these sessions week in, week out, all right? So, I mean, by the time you start and by the time you are done, you would have gotten all the required, you know, the know-how, the required skills, both technically and the soft skills to eventually land that job, all right? For the business analysis, we can just look at that very briefly and I'll show you. Like I said, all the classes are project-based. This is a class that happened last weekend. You have 2 case studies that were treated. The second case study, let's look at that. This is a case study on data science salaries. Data science salaries, all right? We create the case study to help simulate the real life, what you do on the role when you are learning SQL. So how do you solve a problem? So you have a background to the problem, you read the background, and then you start to solve the problem. And this is project-based learning that helps you pick up skills that you would not be able to pick up by just reading and by just, you know, learning theories. We also go, let me go all the way back to Excel. Looking at the Excel class, right from the very first day, you also work on 2 projects. One was for a travel company. The other one was on malaria death, okay? So a case study on malaria death by country, all right? How do you make sense of data using Excel. From your very first class, these are the things you would be learning, okay? So you are learning, working on projects, another project, the Crixus Travel Company, where you're helping this company using Excel to answer a couple of questions, okay, based on where the company wants to be. So at the end of the day, you're not learning theoretical skills, you're learning skills you can put into practice. So for the person that asked the question on, are you just going to get materials and go figure it out yourself? The answer is no. You would be involved having these sessions week in, week out, your mentorship sessions, you're navigating the job market, game night sessions that helps to do what? To bring up all the skills you need to eventually land that job at the end of the day. I'm going to take a pause at this point. I'll take questions and then we can call it a day. I think we are 15 minutes beyond the schedule for this program, okay? So I'm just going to take quick questions and then we will call it a day. So if you have questions, please use the raised hand icon and then I would ask you to speak and ask your question. Use the raised hand icon and I would ask you to speak. Toby, please go ahead and ask your question. I've asked you to unmute yourself.
Hello, good evening. My
Good evening.
question is, if I'm unable to join this cohort on the 27th, is there a cohort starting soon apart from the 27th?
Yeah, absolutely. We have cohorts start every month. We had the cohort in January, February, March, April. The one in May starts on the 27th of May. Now, the only difference between all the cohorts are the discounts are not always available. All right. So the discounts are available for May. By June, July, is likely that the discount is not going to be available anymore. All right. That's why we start. If it's something you want to get into, take advantage of the discounts and register. So the full fee or the full amount of joining any of the program is £400 or 20,000 if you are paying in Naira.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Toby. All right. So I have another person. Your name says iPhone. I'm just going to ask you to unmute. So go ahead and ask your question. And please, what's the name, please, while you ask a question? If you are speaking, we can't hear you, iPhone. Okay, I'm not sure I can hear iPhone. Blessing is asking, I know I'm being particular about references, just want to be sure I Googled Analytics and the location is in there. How does that work if we are using it as UK reference? Now, Analytics work using a decentralized model, okay? When you state that you work with Analytics, all right, what the organization will do is to reach out to us to find out the type of work you do, all right? Now, we register as a company. We are registered in Nigeria as a company. We are also registered in the UK as a company as well, okay? So when you register with us, what you do when you get to apply and use us as a reference, when the company reaches out to us to ask for the type of work you've done for us, we would only fill the form that they have sent to us, stating clearly how you work, the type of work you did, the number of months you stayed with us, the internship you worked on, how suitable you are for that particular role as well, okay? Your work is going to be remote. We don't bring anybody into the office to work with us. The work is fully remote. If you're working with us in Nigeria or working with us in the UK, and it's a project-based work model as well. So when you are stating how you worked on projects for clients. So what you did, for example, you analyzed the data, you summarized the data, you presented the data, you created dashboards, and those were the specific things you did on that particular assignment. And that's the way you state your work experience. Of course, in reality, you have not worked as a business analyst, but you've trained and you've learned as a business analyst. But because your learning program involves you having to work on projects and do things that you do, the same skills you would apply on those projects are the same skills you would apply in the real world. It also qualifies as work experience, all right? So when it comes to references, there are so many references. I just showed you Idris' reference. For everybody who has gotten a job, the company reaches out to us. I'm not just in the UK, in Canada, in the US, in Nigeria, across Ghana, in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai, and so on and so forth. All right. Izema Anthony, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. Go ahead and ask a question, please. Are you there, Anthony? Okay. Victoria Okeoma. Victoria, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Victoria.
My question is like this. I listened to, I didn't start from the beginning, but from the part where I joined, you were trying to explain the different career paths. So I was able to understand what a business analyst and other career paths entails. So I want to be very clear about business analysis in particular. I also understand what project management is. So I asked the question already in the chat box, but it wasn't responded to. So I want to now ask if it's safe to say that business analysis is broader than project management, because I saw in the requirements that business analysis entails some project management skills. So I don't know if it's safe to say that business analysis is broader and it will be more advisable to go for business analysis rather than project management. That's
Okay.
one. That's one part of my question. Then the second hand of my question is, after getting a certification through 10 Analytics, is it also like, would it be required for one to get like a global certification before you can be recognized, or would 10 Analytics certification be okay for any kind of job application you want to apply?
So are you asking specifically across all the different career paths, or for just the business analysis?
Across all the career paths. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So your first question is, BA broader than P? Is it broader than P project management? Well, I wouldn't say it is broader. Okay. The different job roles focuses on two different things. All right. But if you ask me to advise based on my experience and based on the demand of the market, I'll tell you to go for business analysis today and any other day. Okay. Now, why would I say so? As a business analyst, you are in very high demand. All right. And you'll be learning skills that also border around project management. Okay. You're going to learn project initiation. You're going to learn how to manage projects. You're going to use project management tools to manage projects and collaborate and so on and so forth. You learn Agile, Scrum, Waterfall. You learn all those different aspects of project management. So you know what project management entails. You know how to work as a project manager. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, you're also learning skills like SQL, Excel, and Power BI that would help you play around the data analytics realm as well, with all the other business analysis skills, from process mapping to stakeholder engagement to elicitation to BRD, business requirement documentation, and so on and so forth. Okay. So a combination of all these skills gives you more opportunities and a broader array of jobs to apply to, compared to just project management, where you apply to just project management roles. You have a very thin line, and it's very easy for a business analyst to cross to a project management role. But it doesn't happen the other way. It's extremely difficult for a project manager to become a business analyst because they don't have the business analysis skills. So if you ask me which is more high in demand or which would give you access to more job opportunities, the business analyst role, absolutely. Okay. Going to your second question, there is nothing called global certification. Okay. I want, because we are used to a certain type of mentality, we assume that everything is about certificates. Let me tell you how the recruitment process works. Yes, Tenalytics, you'd have a certificate from Tenalytics, right? No recruiter would ever ask you, if you have a master's degree, no recruiter would ask you, if you have, where did you learn? Do you have a certificate that you've learned? And so on and so forth. No recruiter. And we can do a very quick check for business analyst role on the major job, sites. We're going to look through Indeed, and we're going to look through CV Library or something. Is there any requirement for a certification to get access to these jobs? And it doesn't exist anywhere. And that's one of the misconceptions a lot of people have. And for us, we always try to dispel it as fast as possible. Now, because all these roles are highly technical in the sense that you are learning how to use tools, you are learning different, applications of different techniques to solving problems. What those companies are focused on is your application of those skills. Do you have those skills? It's a skill-based function. Let's quickly do a search. All right. So I'm going to go to jobs on LinkedIn and let's search for the business analyst role, for example, since you asked about business analysis. So business analyst, we're going to look at maybe 3, 4, 5 roles. So this is a business analyst role. Hayes is the one recruiting for this role, MicroStrategy. Let's click on it and check. Let's go to the requirements. Let's see. All right. So this says skills, Microsoft Excel, business analysis, but let's drill down a bit. Okay. Now, because they're recruiting for MicroStrategy itself, they also have their own analytic tool. So they are saying that they want you must have what the applicant must have, MicroStrategy experts. All right. And that's because they are recruiting for MicroStrategy. Power BI, creating a detailed business analysis, outlining problem opportunities, budgeting and forecasting, planning and monitoring, variance analysis, pricing, reporting, defining business requirements, Microsoft Office, advanced user of Excel. Let's check more. Other stuff, potentially looking for previous experience working with large data, understanding of creating visually appealing dashboards, ability to communicate. You would look through all these roles, you would struggle to find anyone that says global certification. There is nothing like that. Let's check the second one. All right, let's see this. Let's go to the core requirements, what you must have to be a part of this role. Okay, so the successful candidates will have positive can-do, strong knowledge of Microsoft technology, agile methodology, experience in the range of process mapping software, exposure to applications development through low code, no code, so Power Apps, experience working. So benefits, these are the must-have. So I always say this because you are not learning a skill like, how will I put it, nursing, or you're not a medical doctor whereby you can't test during an interview if a medical doctor can actually perform surgery, except you ask questions. So you must have gone through a particular recognized certification to become a medical doctor at the end of the day. This is skill-based, where your skills will be tested, right? So for example, how do you use agile methodology? Can you show me tell me a time you've used this. You show them that you've done this. We can go on and on and on, look for the requirements, key deliverable, and check, okay, what we need. Experience working on digital transformation projects, experience with lab information management, and so on and so forth. So check the different roles and what they need. Global certification does not exist, all right?
Okay.
The focus is on getting the skills, building
Knowledge
a
and
portfolio, and building a portfolio of solid projects that would showcase to the recruiter that you can actually deliver on the job, if that makes sense to you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome, Victoria. Okay. I'm going to take Joan or Joanne. We have an employee called Joan. So I'm going to ask Joan. Joan, I've asked you to unmute. Okay, so go ahead and ask a question, Joan. I think I'll take about.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. I think part of my question has been answered by yourself. I mean, the last person that raised the question, but again, the other parts of it. I want to find out what's the difference between, of course, you roughly mentioned it, but this position, Scrum Master jobs, Scrum Master jobs. So what's the difference between this, that, and business analyst?
Well, as a Scrum Master, I'm not entirely familiar to the role itself as a Scrum Master, but it's a subset of a business analyst role. Okay, so as a Scrum Master, you are versed with the use of Scrum methodologies and so on and so forth, right? But then that's just Scrum. As a business analyst, you are exposed to so many other tools outside the use of only Scrum. So you're not just a Scrum Master, you learn how to use Scrum methodologies, obviously, in project management and so on, but you learn other methodologies as well. Okay.
So are you saying Scrum is broader, as in being a Scrum Master is more deeper, or I would like to say there are more tools you need to become a Scrum Master?
No, that's not what I'm saying. So take it this way. A Scrum Master is like a general practitioner and then a dentist. A dentist only focuses on helping you address issues regarding your teeth. Okay, your teeth. But a general practitioner focuses on you as a human being, as a full person. So different areas where you have problems. So Scrum is a subset of business analysis. Okay,
so you can apply for a Scrum job as well if you finish the program as a business analyst?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Being a Scrum Master is specializing in the use of Scrum methodologies and Scrum techniques. Scrum simply just helps you do what? Being a Scrum Master, you understand how to facilitate processes that requires the use of Scrum methodologies and so on and so forth. However, being a business analyst, you're not focusing on just one particular methodology. You're going to learn Scrum, you'd learn Waterfall, you'd learn so many other project management methodologies apart from just Scrum.
Okay.
Like
now,
I said,
okay.
I'm not very vast in Scrum, so I might not give you very detailed explanation, but Scrum is a subset of business analysis.
Okay, so your organization don't focus on just Scrum, right? It just
No,
okay.
we don't. No, we don't.
Okay. I was also wanting to ask, what's the requirements like to succeed in the program? Because already I'm working full time, and it's going to be quite challenging. So, like you said, you need to put the work. So, what's the weekly requirement to be successful in the program?
Yeah. So again, 90% of the people that join our programs are either full-time master's students or full-time working professionals, 9 to 5ers. For you to succeed, you have to make that concerted decision that for the next 3 months of my life, I'm going to dedicate it to the program, Saturdays and Sundays. So you're not going to have your weekends for your typical, I have events today. Yes, you can miss 1 or 2 classes, but we always advise against missing classes. Even though you have the recording, you can always fall back on. The program itself is intensive, it's immersive, so you want to be a part of all the process, okay? And that's the way you come out successful at the end of the day. So for people who miss 1 class, they miss the next class, it piles up. And once you have it pile up, it becomes difficult for you to go back to watch the full class recording. And one way or the other, you're missing out on something, eventually. So you need to dedicate the 3 months of yourself to the program to become successful and to extract any reasonable value out of the program itself.
Okay, sorry. I was saying apart from the live classes, what's the hour requirement? That is, how many hours of self-study do I need? So apart from the classes you mentioned, how many hours of self-study, for a week?
In a week,
just the class, live classes, you mean?
No, it's not absolute, of course not just the live classes. So you have your live classes on Saturdays and Sundays. You're going to work on projects, okay? Now, outside that, you'd have 1 or 2 other materials that you need to read, you need to watch ahead of the next class, okay? We always recommend at the minimum, from Monday to Friday, you have a minimum of 3 hours self-study, minimum. It could be more than that. So you could break it.
You mean daily or weekly?
Weekly.
Okay.
3 hours weekly. So you could break it down into 30 minutes per day. You could say, okay, I want to take 3 days, 1 hour every day for the whole week, Monday to Friday, to do the additional study that I need to do. So that's all dependent on how you want to structure that to get that done. Okay. During the week as well, you have your mentorship sessions for about 1 hour, 1.5 hours every Wednesday evenings. You have the mentorship sessions. And like I said, the mentorship session is a session where, like today, for example, they are learning, for those that started in March and April, they are learning how to tailor their CV to job descriptions. That's what they are doing this evening. I believe, yes, they started at 10, if I'm correct. So they should either have wrapped up or almost wrapping up their session in the next few minutes. So you have those weekly sessions as well. Of course, all the live sessions are recorded, just like this session is recorded. So, but I'll tell you for a fact that you must have your whole schedule planned out for the weekends and eventually for the week as well. A minimum of 3 hours during the week for you to also do some additional study and learning. So.
Thank you. One more last question. You never mentioned cybersecurity. Is it that cybersecurity is not as demanding as these other tech roles?
Absolutely. Cybersecurity is very high in demand. In fact, it's one of the roles in the job shortage list. I'll just quickly go there to show you as well. It's one of the jobs you'd find. However, if you remember, you go back to the criteria we looked at. Let me see. Yeah. So if you can see my screen, you'd see 2139. It says information technology and communications professionals, not elsewhere classified, only cybersecurity specialist. Now, to learn cybersecurity, you'd need a minimum of about 6 months, okay, or more or longer, depending on how fast you can learn. So while it's very high in demand, just like software engineering, front end, back end are also very high in demand. However, you can't learn them in 3 months. You can't learn them in 2 months. Okay, so it doesn't fall into or fit into the criteria I listed at the beginning of the session, which is number 1, ease of learning. Number 2, ease of transitioning. And number 3, high and rewarding salary. Okay, so there are more technical roles that would require more technical know-how and can be a bit daunting for somebody who is totally new. And that's why it doesn't fall within the criteria of what of the programs we offer. Okay. If that makes sense to you, John. I hope I've been able to answer your question. So I'm going to ask John to unmute. John, you can go ahead and ask a question, please.
Yeah, there is a hold on. Good evening.
Good evening, John.
Yeah, I was part of the class maybe sometimes in September last year, but I couldn't complete it. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. Femina is actually a great teacher. I'm thinking of taking the data analyst class again, but I've been doing self-study myself. I just need some basic things like practical, hands-on practicals, then reference, and I want to be sure as regards the issue of internship. I think you mentioned something that has to do with internship, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm actually taking a course. I think I'm taking a course and I have like 6 months internship period or 3 months or thereabouts. So I don't know if you could make provisions for that as well.
Okay. All right. So very good. So you said you want to take the data analytics program, if I'm correct. I think you've muted yourself again, John.
Yes.
All right. Now, the internship itself is a project-based internship. All right. So at the end, I can show you, let me show you what those that registered in January, what they did in the data analytics program. So it's a project-based internship where you would get projects that you would apply all the concepts you've learned during the program. All right. And those projects would form a part of your portfolio. Okay. Now, the reason why you want to have a portfolio is because recruiters would ask. So rather than the person that asked the question the other time, rather than the recruiter asking you, do you have a certificate, of which there's no certificate for a data analyst, they would ask you for your what? Your portfolio. All right. So show me your portfolio of projects. So if you can see my screen, you'd see the CSI growth internship. Okay. So here you have 4 projects. One is on product analytics. The project on product analytics involves you analyzing data for Nestle. Okay. I'm just going to open that so that you have a look. So it's a Nestle product analytics project. You're going to look at the case study. You have some questions. You're going to download the data set and then you work on the project. This is one of the projects you work on during your internship. That's for product analytics. Now you work on another project called the Express Tech Delivery Project. So here you are working for an organization that does logistics. So your project, supply chain and logistics. So your project is not cut across just one specific area or industry. You want to show the depth of your technical skills across different industries. So this is another project you're going to work on. It's called the Express Tech Online Food Delivery. You work on that as well. And then you work on the Redux Airline case study. Okay, just to have a look at that. So this is an airline case study, okay, where you look at the airline data. The airline is struggling, they're trying to solve a problem. You deploy all the skills you've been able to get during the program. You work on this and it becomes part of your portfolio project. Okay, it's called the Redux Airline case study. All right. You also have the Legacy Group case study. The Legacy Group case study is a HR-based case study where you're helping the company to understand the data they have with regards to HR. Okay, so this is called the Legacy. You'd also work on this. You have your descriptive analytics, you have tailored analytics. You're going to do all of that, create a dashboard at the end of the day. Now, these are some of the projects you work on. The ones I've just shown you are specific for what? The growth internship.
Okay.
For data analytics. However, across your journey from your very first class, you're working on so many other projects. So this just does what? It kind of culminates into where you bring all the skills you've learned in Excel, your data cleaning skills, your data modeling, your ability to, break data into facts and dimensions from Power BI and so on. You bring all those skills together to work on this project on the internship. Now, before you even do this, you have a capstone project. Okay, the capstone project, I'm just going to come down here. You have the capstone project. Okay, now the capstone project, you'd work on 3 case studies. The difference between the capstone and the internship is the capstone will test specific skills in Excel, specific in Power BI, specific.
Okay.
All right. So unlike the internship where you can apply any of the skills you've learned, for the capstone, you apply specific skills. For example, if you look at the capstone project, you have the SQL capstone. Let's look at the case study itself. Okay. So this is a case study where you'll be working with a charity organization, an NGO, to help them raise funds. To help to raise funds, you need to understand who the donors are, where the money is coming from. So you're going to look at the case study, look at the data sets, you download the data sets, and then you'd import the data into your database management system, whichever you want to use to solve the problem. Okay, so to answer your question directly, for the internship, it is project-based, where you receive case studies. You're going to work on those case studies. When you work on the case studies and then you submit, we look at the case studies, we assess them, and then we provide you with a feedback. Okay, so you have a review, a case study review session, where we show you what should have been done better, what you didn't do right, and you go back to make those adjustments because you want to have those solid projects in your portfolio. Okay, so that's the way the internship plays out.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, John. Okay, let me see if I have more questions in the chat. Will the project be evaluated to make sure the student is on track? So I think I just answered that question, Colin. So we have a project review session, okay, where we solve the project, you see the solution to the project, and you can then see where your mistakes are and then get to solve those problems yourself. Could you show the internship project for the data science program? I would like to see the difference between data science. Data science and data analytics are totally different, Okay, so let's see if we can go into the data science program and you'd see some of the projects that they have been working on. Let me see, which cohort should I check? So while I'm checking for that, let me see cohort 11. Okay, cohort 11 are still on their capstone. Cohort 10. So while I'm checking for that, I'll take more questions and then let's take more questions. So I'm going to ask you to unmute Victoria. Victoria, you can go ahead and ask a question while I just search for the case study for full stack data science.
Hi, wow, it's my turn. Good evening. Thanks for the time. Thanks for everything you've been saying. Right. My question is this. With all these courses available, is it that there's nothing for a project manager? Like, I've just been looking at everything. I'm like, there's nothing. Do you do anything like maybe IT project management courses and things like that? Thank you.
Okay, we don't have a program for a project manager. And I think somebody asked the question the other time. As a project manager, what skills can I leverage? I would rather suggest that for a project manager, the best skill that complements your project management skill is business analysis. Okay, but if it's project management you really want to go for, we don't offer project management in all the suite of programs that we offer. The reason why we offer business analysis, I think I answered that question when the other person asked, where I talked about the fact that you have access to more roles, more diverse roles within the business analytics realm compared to just the project management. Okay. So we don't, to answer your question directly, we don't offer project management, but we do offer business analysis. Okay. Victoria, you're muted, but I'm going to ask you to unmute if you want to ask a follow-up question to that.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say. Like, do you have like all the certifications for project manager, apart from having the maybe the degree? Like, do you do things like AGI, like Prince 2, and things
No,
like that?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That was me. That's me.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Victoria. I'll take Henry. I think I'll take just about 3 to 4 more questions, and then, because time is fast spent already. Henry, go ahead, please. Henry, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Okay. Let me see.
Hello, good evening.
All right, go ahead, Henry.
Thanks so much. Well, just a quick one. I really appreciate the class, and it's been so inspiring and so wonderful. But I have a little request to make. One, you promised you're going to give us a rundown of the records of today's class, or in the introductory, the entire introduction of the courses. I would like, I just want to remind you that I will appreciate if you can give it to us. Number 2, it's on the obviously somebody personally I won't be able to join. That's the upcoming class in 27th of May due to financial strength, and I will still want to plead because I know that might be applicable to other persons too. I want to plead if another consideration could be given to those who probably will want to come on board later on. At least a discount could equally be given, not just limited to that of 27th of May alone. It's a fantastic program, and I would really love to be part of it, but due to financial constraint, I might not be able to come on board immediately. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Henry. So again, well, what we try to always do, like I said, because we try to create an awareness of these programs available to different people, just like we are doing, we hold this session from time to time. But again, you have changes that come up as well. And apart from that, we are also looking to review the fee, the training fee itself, okay? So one of the reasons why we always advise people, so I'll tell you, when I say we are looking to review the fee, I'll give you a typical example. Last year, our data analytics program was less than half of what it currently is today. All right, so it's £300 today. It was less than half of that this same period last year. And now the reason why you would ask, oh, why did the fee change so dramatically? Now, as the market changes and you see the demand of organizations, you see the demand of companies, you also want to tailor the curriculum to fit the demand so that whoever comes into the program, by the time they are leaving, they can successfully apply to jobs and get jobs within the job markets, wherever they are in the UK, in Canada, and so on. So we move in line with changes that exist in the markets. Exactly. So Passionate is saying he registered 100K last year for data science. That's not the case today. Today, data science, the discounted fee is 270,000. All right. And like the reason why we said we make these changes is simply to fit into the current demand. So we've seen that companies are now looking for data scientists that have skills like, that must have skills within the area of, let's say, deep learning, specific areas of deep learning. We would incorporate that into the curriculum. Okay, and by incorporating that, it increases the fee. Data analytics never included Tableau last year. We did not offer Tableau as part of the data analytics program. But when we looked at the demand of the market, we did our analysis, we saw that data analysts of today, you would find companies that would have a preference for data analysts that knows how to use Power BI. Some other companies would have preference for Tableau. So rather than sticking to one, because what we offered was Tableau. So rather than learning Tableau and then, I beg your pardon, we were offering Power BI. So we said that rather than learning only Power BI, and if you see a role that requires Tableau, you cannot apply. Why not learn the two? Learn Power BI and learn Tableau, so that when you go out there to apply to jobs, you have a wider array of jobs you can apply to. So these things affect the prices. And we are also seeing some changes coming up. We are looking to make these changes. So I can tell you today that the discount is likely going to remain. The fee is also likely going to change. Okay, so if it's something you want to get into, you can get into it, take advantage of the discount. And then we had people who, they held on for weeks and months, and the lady who held on for a year, and by the time she came back, was just like the gentleman passionate for data science who said he registered 100K last year. She came in and said, I want to register. She made the payments. This is not the fee. And then she had to make the balance, of course, to complete the full payment. Okay, if that makes sense to you, I think that was Henry that mentioned that. So if the discount is available and nothing changes, absolutely, you take advantage. But if not, then whatever the fee is with regards to that would have to make the difference in payment. Okay, I think I'll take 2 more questions and then I'll call it a day. Benjamin, I've asked you to unmute yourself. Somebody's asking, can you clarify the difference between full stack data science and data engineering? All right, there are 2 different. So Benjamin, before you ask a question, as a data scientist, what you are doing is you're going to work with data, both structured and unstructured data, analyze the data, extract insights from the data using your Excel, your advanced use of Excel, use Tableau to also do some level of predictive analytics to show the company that this is what we need to do to prepare for what would happen in the future. Okay, so you are helping the company take data-driven decisions from the data that they've generated as a data scientist. You're going to create predictive models, machine learning models, all right, that would help the company take actions based on what the machine learning model, the outcome of the machine learning model that helps to show the future, show what would happen based on current happenings at that point in time. As a data engineer, you are not recommending, you are not showing any type of analysis. You are not extracting insights from data. No, your role as a data engineer is to make sure that wherever the data is generated by the company, people have access to that data. So let me give you an example. I worked in the energy industry, in the energy sector, specifically in the power industry. Now, in your homes, you have meters that stores. You have meters, you load your meters, you have supply. I use this example because everybody can relate to it. Now, those meters in your homes, they store data, right? So for the company to understand your consumption pattern, how much energy was supplied to your home, and so on, they need to get the data from that meter that exists in your home. They must get the data from there. So how do they get the data? That's the role of the data engineer. The data engineer would create data pipelines, write Python codes to help extract the data from those systems, and then move the data into a central location called the data warehouse. And then the data scientist can then pick the data from there to do his or her analysis, all right? So as a data engineer, you are what? Bringing the data into a central location, making the data available. That's your role. The role of the data scientist is to do the analysis, predictive analytics, and so on and so forth. The data analyst would also take the data. The HR analyst would also take the data, but the data engineer is the provider of that data. So there are two different roles. As a data scientist, you work with people, you will interact with the business, you're going to do all of that. You're going to make presentations based on your findings, okay? As a data engineer, you're not making any presentation to anybody based on any finding. Your role is to do what? Get the data from where it is and put it where it should be for easy access, okay? I hope I answered that question clearly. Benjamin, please, you can go ahead now with your question. I think Benjamin has muted himself. Okay. So I think that answers the question. And, you know, somebody sent a message to the chat saying, oh, SQL seems a bit difficult. All right. Or SQL seems a bit technical. SQL is one of the easiest languages you would ever learn. And from your very first day in class, you write your very first query on SQL, your very first day. So SQL is one of the very easiest programming languages you would ever learn during your journey as a professional. Okay. I think I answered that question. iPhone sent it to me directly. Okay. All right. So Benjamin said I should unmute. I've asked you to unmute, Benjamin. Go ahead and ask your question.
All right, good evening. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. Just a quick question. However, most of the questions already, they've been answered already. So I think I just have one left. Now you're talking about trying to clarify the difference between the data scientist and the data engineer. So so what tool, you made mention of you're going to be coding a lot as a data engineer. So what tool will be needed as a data engineer? That's one of the questions. And then secondly, the tools we are going to be using, most of them I might not be conversant with, maybe some of them. So are they going to be made available for us? Because I want to believe some of them might be paid version or so. So are we going to have access to some of these tools that will be needed for the program? And finally, if there is a way to reach out to you, because I would want to confirm, I would like to join this the next one, which is coming up on the 27th. So in terms of payment, I know, so I just want to do some final clarifications with you. If there's an email you can drop to reach out to you. So that's my question and comment.
All right. You have a personal question you want to ask Benjamin that you don't want to ask here?
You said what? Sorry, I didn't get you.
All right. So you can reach out to us on any of these numbers. Okay. I'm also going to drop my email in the chat. So if you want to send me an email, you can also do this. Okay. My email is adeza@analytics.io. Okay, adeza@analytics.io. That's .io, not comma. I think I mistakenly entered comma. All right. So if you send a WhatsApp message to any of the numbers you have on the screen, or you send me an email, I'll respond to your email. But for the numbers, one of the customer success team members will reach out to you and answer any questions you have. All right. Now, as a data, once you make payments, your payment has been confirmed. All the tools, all the applications you need, the links to download and install them, you'd have them there. And the guide, which is a video on how to install all those applications, would also be in the welcome kit. So you don't have any problems about access to the applications and so on and so forth. Okay. All the applications are made available. And as a data engineer, you are using Python. That's your major programming tools. That's the tool you use to write all the codes to create your pipelines. You'd also write a lot of SQL codes. So your SQL, the major database management systems we use. We use PostgreSQL, MySQL as well. You would use that to create your data warehouse, to create your databases, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when it comes to programming, when it comes to coding, those are the two major tools you would use to do that. All right, and all the applications are made available in the welcome kits. Let me show you an example of the data engineering program. Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you what the Google Classroom looks like. Let's see, data engineering core 2. All right, so I'm just going to share my screen so you have a look. All right, so this is data engineering. Okay, so let me just quickly walk you through. Like I said, this is where all your the repository of all the materials would be. So once you make payments, you receive an email, we confirm your payment. That email would have a link for you to join a classroom like this. The very first thing you see here is called a welcome kit. All right. So these welcome kits, you're going to have a skill assessment session. And then if I click on this, the data engineering welcome kits, let's click on it to see what it looks like. Okay. So welcome to the Tenalytics Data Engineering Training Program. Of course, you'd see a bit of background about ourselves. That's myself and the co-founder of Tenalytics, Efemena. And then you'd have what you'd learn, the different aspects of the program you're going to learn, from SQL to Python to Linux to building ETL and APIs, orchestration, all the things I mentioned earlier. You have your training plan. Okay, every single class, when your class would hold on Saturdays, Sundays, and so on. And then you have a more detailed lesson plan. Okay, so something like a timetable, you can call it that. Now, you also go to the breakdown of all the different aspects. So your introduction to data engineering, what are you going to talk about? What are you going to learn? Your Python programming, your SQL, all the breakdown, you also have them there. Okay, now, download your applications here. So all the applications you need before you get into class. This link shows you what to do, how to download, how to install. So you're going to download your Postgre, download and install Anaconda, and then how to set up your GitHub account. You have all of that. You have the ground rules, and that's all. Okay. Every other thing you need to install, you do that by the guidance of your facilitator. Okay, so this is what the welcome kit looks like. It's a document, you have it in your Google Classroom, but in the Google Classroom itself, every single thing you need, you have them there. Okay, you're going to join a Slack channel. How to navigate the Slack channel on your laptop, how to navigate the Slack channel on your phone, you have that in here. Then you have your first class, Introduction to Data Engineering, the first class, the second class, and you have your first project, ERD, Entity Relationship Diagram Project, okay? So that's the first project you're going to work on, all right? Then you move on to SQL, MySQL installation. So this is another application you're going to install. How do you install? You have a watch me do it, all right? All you have to do, click on the video, watch the video, you get it installed. Straightforward, straight to the point. Of course, your mentorship sessions, your SQL classes. The beautiful thing is for every single class, like I said, you have a project. So for your SQL project, you have a project you're going to work on, and then you have that turned in and submitted. All right, so you start your Python fundamentals. And just like you said, for those that are new, you've not done this before, Python fundamentals, beginning, the scratch. What is Python? How do you write hello world? What are the data types and so on? So those are the things you are learning in the program itself. Exploratory data analysis using pandas, you're going to learn all of that. One other amazing stuff you have, just to quickly highlight this before we wrap up, is you have drop-in sessions. I'll explain what the drop-in sessions and the office hours. So if I scroll, you see drop-in sessions. I also want to show you, you have office hours as well. So you can see drop-in session 4, drop-in session 3. You can see more drop-in session 5. What are these drop-in sessions? Now, for somebody like you, Benjamin, let's assume you've attended the class on Saturday and Sunday, but then you have a challenge. You executed a code. The code did not work. All right. You send a message in your Slack channel. Somebody has tried to help you fix it, but it's still not working. We organize a drop-in session. So the drop-in session is where you and a data coach in-house at Tenalytics, you'd have a maybe 15 minutes, 20-minute session, depending on the level of the challenge you have. And they'll walk you through how to get it done. Okay, that's what the drop-in session is all about. So you'd see these drop-in sessions, 1, 2, 3. And the beautiful thing is the drop-in sessions are also recorded. So you can always go to the link, click on the drop-in session. So you might just find out that one of the problems you had or you have has been resolved in one of the drop-in sessions. So you can just see the solution to that, and that you get it done that way. So this is a sample of the data engineering classroom. All your materials, every single thing you need, you have them here. Okay. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, Ben.
Yeah, it helped a lot. So sorry, the last question, what would be the duration for the classes?
Data engineering is for 4 months. Okay.
Okay.
So 3 months project-based classes. Now, data engineering and data science are for 4 months. And the reason, like I mentioned earlier, is because you're going to learn how to code. Okay. So you need some time to digest the knowledge of learning Python, how to use Python for the very first time. So for 4 months, 3 months, you use that in class. And then the extra 1 month is for what? Is for projects. Okay, so the 1 month is for projects, 3 months for the project-based classes.
Okay.
Right? So
and each of the classes, like each day, what's the duration?
Oh, each is 3 hours. So
okay.
Saturday 3 hours, Sunday 3 hours. So let me show you again. It's 3 hours on Saturdays, 3 hours on Sunday. Let me maximize this a bit. So, and of course, your welcome kits would have all of that. You have that in your welcome kit in the lesson plan. Okay. So if you look at this particular class in February, started on the 26th, of course, because if you remember, in Nigeria, we consider the Nigerian market as well, because a couple of our participants come from Nigeria, and we had elections on the 25th of February. So class in this particular month started on the 26th, not on a Saturday, on a Sunday, because of the elections. So Sundays is from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. All right, 3 hours. Saturdays is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Okay, so 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Sunday. And like we said, all your classes are recorded. All the live sessions are recorded. Okay, so if you miss a class, for example, the live class, you have the opportunity to watch the recording to get every single thing that was done in class. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I know a lot of you would have questions. Like there was a lady asking if we, as a HR professional, she studied HR MSc. All right, she studied HR MSc. So what should she learn? Should she go ahead and do HR analytics? So we're going to have clarity sessions. Okay, some of you would have specific questions like, I have done procurement all my life. Now I want to move into tech. How should I, move my way? How do I get into tech? What program would be best for me? So to help you answer those specific questions, if you're not able to decide on your own, please, we're going to send messages, emails. If you fill the form to join this session or you join the WhatsApp group, we're going to send out messages and emails where you can indicate if you want a one-on-one session or a clarity session, where we'll sit down with you to help you identify the best path to take if you can't make that decision yourself based on your own peculiar situation. All right. Somebody is asking for, I think, the data science internship. let me see. For the data science internship, unfortunately, I can't show you the internship at the moment. And the reason is this. For the different programs we have at Tenalytics, I lead 4 of the programs. The co-founder leads the other 3. I've been trying to reach out to him to give me access. I don't have access to the other programs, but that's the current internship they are doing at the moment. But I'll show you what the projects look like, the capstone project, the Watch Me Do It, the computer vision project, and maybe join the clarity session and I'll show you, the projects they work on for the internship. Okay, so I lead the data analytics, the HR, the business analysis, and the financial analytics. FMNA leads the data engineering, the data science, and the Power Platform. Right? So this is one of the projects you're going to work on in the full stack data science program, which is customer segmentation and deposit prediction. It's a financial related data case where you work for a bank and help them to create a customer segmentation and do a customer segmentation analysis and so on and so forth. All right. So this is what the case study looks like, the data dictionary. You have the analysis you should focus on. And of course, you're going to create a machine learning project. And then you put your codes in your GitHub, and then you share the link with us and we'll review the project to see what you've done. Okay, this is one of the projects. But again, looking at the computer vision project as well, where you are also building computer vision solutions. Like I said, when you take your mobile phone and then you use the facial recognition to unlock it, how do you get that done? All right. So you're going to build a project like that using the computer vision project to get it done. Okay. Right. I think I'm just going to call it a day at this point. I don't have a laptop now. How do I get an affordable laptop? You need a laptop. Your laptop is your major tool to be a part of this program. That's your major tool. Without a laptop, you can't do anything. Please, I did full stack data science last year, currently with Tenalytics Board 9, currently studying MSc data science in the UK. I wish to apply for an internship program. Which websites can you recommend? All the websites I sent, all you can do is just use the filters and search for internship. Use the filter and search for internship. You'd get internship opportunities, LinkedIn as well. But I always recommend, don't bother searching for internship. Okay, as a data scientist, don't bother searching for internship. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your, I would say it's a waste of your time, really, because the internship might likely not pay you. They might not pay you any money. You're working for free. But then you have the skills that even those that are doing the job might not have. So what I advise you to do is to simply take it head on and apply to jobs rather than applying to internship. If you dedicate the same time to applying to jobs instead of internships, you'll land a job eventually. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a day at this point. Like I said, we'll take more questions, have clarity sessions, have one-on-one sessions. So I want to say a big thank you for everybody who has stayed up until this time. I think we did another 1.5 hours questions and answers. But thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful session. Reach out to us. We had a wonderful session. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the question, and I hope you were able to get value for the time you spent as well. We're going to send you the recording. We'll send you the slides and everything you need for the program. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. Reach out to us across all our social media platforms. Let's interact. Let's engage. I'll be super happy to get to engage with all of you. All right. Have an amazing evening. And until we meet again, if you're interested in having a one-on-one session to help you select the specific course you'd like to take, please do that. When you see the link, register, indicate you'd like a one-on-one session, and we'll get to meet with you again. Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful evening. Cheers.